Okay, let's get ready to start the meeting. It's 5:45, August 27th. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Mr. Calvo,
Present.
Ms. De La Vega,
Present.
Ms. Garcia Robles,
Present.
Ms. Perez is absent, Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Tunidor is absent, Mr. Zogby is absent. Madam Vice President, you have enough members to conduct business.
Okay, Madam Clerk, the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance is led by Councilmember Rodriguez.
Lord, we pray for the city council and for the agenda set before them today. Please guide them in benefit of those who live and work in the city of Hialeah. Amen.
Everybody, please face the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Meeting guidelines.
All lobbyists must register with the city clerk. As a courtesy to others, please refrain from using cellular telephones or other similar electronic devices in the council chamber. A maximum of 3 speakers in favor and 3 speakers in opposition will be allowed to address the council on any one item. Each speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. No signs or placards in support of or in opposition to one item or speaker shall be permitted within the council chamber. Any person, whether participating via the web platform, telephonic conferencing, or physical presence at City Hall, interested in making comments or posing questions on matters of public concern or on any item on the agenda may do so during the meeting. Members of the public may address the city council on any item pertaining to city business during the comments and questions portion of the meeting. A member of the public is limited to 1 appearance before the city council, and the speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. The public can view public meetings on the city's YouTube page.
Okay, moving on to comments and questions. Do we have any?
Registered speaker Juan Santana.
Juan Santana, 5601 West 10th Avenue. Mayor, thank you again for guys for letting me use the park. And it was a great event. I would like to thank the staff at the park. Even Hialeah PD was there assisting us, making sure we're all having fun, and especially the kids are the ones that benefited that day to make sure they were ready to go back to school. Had haircuts. We even had other organizations there helping us as well. The Women's Club of Hialeah. It was a great event. It was nice to see everybody. I did invite a lot of you guys. I know you guys are busy, so but it was a great event, and hopefully next year we can make it bigger and better and making sure that we can get the kids ready to go back to school. On other notes, I own a condo on 460 East 23rd Street, apartment 414. The news legislation that passed in Tallahassee regarding House Bill HB 1021. If there's any way possible that you guys have time to look at this, because I would like to see some response also from the city to kind of back up Tallahassee on what's happening. There's these crazy assessments that are happening right now. As of today, I just sent out the recall my whole entire board for mismanagement of funds. They're trying to get $2.3 million. And, I'm just going to give an example. One roofing company was trying to charge $250, the other one $268, and then they want to pick the one that's $800,000. And in my opinion, that's not right. And the thing is, I'm asking the mayor's office as well as any councilman's or councilwoman's. My organization can only do so much regarding, especially when you're dealing with people's finances. Kevin Cabrera's office is working with my organization already. If you guys have any time, I can coordinate to get just some help to have these applications, because Miami-Dade County has a special assessment program to help to loan the money for these special assessments. I have reached out to the director, Sean. I'm trying to get this going, but I'm getting a lot of pushback from the board. They don't like that I'm doing that because they're doing predatory lending, taking elderly people to go get loans from I don't know who. Unfortunately, these are happening. And one of the things in my organization that we try to do is we try not to have displacement. This gentrification issue that's happening. We have to really study this, guys. This is again, and stuff that's happening even with the Live Local Act. we don't want to be Biscayne Park, you know, that a developer comes start buying up all these condos because people that couldn't afford their assessment. Next thing you know, they're cutting off electricity, off the elevators. You know, I don't want that I don't want that here. You know, I'm fighting, you know, and I would like some assistance from everyone sitting on this board and including the mayor's office. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's the next person?
There's no one else registered to speak.
Okay, no one online either?
No, ma'am.
I got here 5:30 and there was no one out there. And you know, this thing with the paper, come on. I saw Eddie Gonzalez. I told him I missed him. I missed the old Volvo. I miss Lewis. I miss how it was that people had a conversation here.
Go
So
ahead.
Millie Herrera, 4341 East Ace Lane. I'm gonna echo what Juan said. I don't live in a condominium, but I was shocked that some people are reaching out from Kendall, North Miami, people I know who have family. I just want to put this on the record. I wrote it because I overstepped myself, you know, that's me. With all the laws and restrictions and funding requirements coming down from the federal government, because you got to look at what Trump did and what Biden is doing. This is like both sides. You don't know which way to look. You look to the right or to the left, and you got enemies flowing both ways. All the rules and preemptions at the state level. Perhaps it won't be long before city halls across our state close down because our local government will be declared useless. We won't be able to come here. We won't be able to fight for our neighborhoods. We also have this condo chaos, like Juan explained. We have other residents in Hialeah that are depending on us to put their voice out there. Senate President Kathleen Pasidomo now is heading out and Danielle Perez is coming in. She is refusing to hold a special session, at least to alleviate the time span or look at this legislation better. For the residents here in Hialeah and across our state, they cannot come up with this amount of money in such a short span of time. They can't get the inspections done. There's not that many inspectors across the state. So we're urging our city government, the mayor and our city council to act fast, to contact the governor, contact the state legislators, and try to put forth a resolution, a petition, however it is that it's legally done, to urge them to have this special session and to fight to control your planning and to safeguard the right of your citizens to come before you on behalf of their neighborhoods, their homes, their businesses, their industrial areas, their jobs. And stop all this overdevelopment that is killing. I mean, that 25th, 10th Avenue, it is a mess. There's even a stop sign that they twisted over and they've left it like that. There's a garbage can, it doesn't get picked up for months. There's graffiti, there's litter. This was a nice corner with a medical office, you know, and people working. These are mechanics. They have every right to be here, like the rich, like one of the residents says, with their designer dogs. Stand up for the working and the middle class of Hialeah. Fix our neighborhoods, clean those streets, and stop state government from preempting you. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to presentations.
Presentation by the Parks and Community Engagement Department regarding current and future projects.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Chief, and City Clerk. My name is William Sanchez, Department of Parks and Community Engagement, 900 East 56th Street. We wanted to take the moment to give you a brief recap where we stand today, 2.5 years into our rebuild. We're excited. You guys see a lot of progress in this brief recap, but I want to stress that much more is needed. And I want to thank the mayor and the council for trusting Michael, myself, and giving us support to do the things we're doing. And beyond that, something very special has happened in the city. The department heads are all working together, and it's a beautiful thing. Today, as a matter of fact, I spoke to 3 different department heads with different needs, and we're all talking to each other, and it's making the rebuild much easier, right? In a sense. But I want to make sure that I thank all the directors publicly and the mayor and the council. Both before we start showing the progress, we want to introduce to you our newest program, the Hialeah Hurricanes that are in the house tonight. We're excited. There's been a project that Gian, who's been entrusted to rebuild. We're not just rebuilding our parks, we're also rebuilding our programming. And Gian has done a wonderful job. He's been entrusted to do so, along with the rest of the team. But we have the Hialeah Hurricanes here. I want to bring up Gary and Michelle. Please come up. Gian. So Gary and Michelle are not strangers to Hialeah. They've been working with special needs and our special pops for many years. But during our conversations, thank you. During our conversations, we found other great things. It's not just about football. It's about educating the kids and giving the boost I was given in the parks, like Mikey and many of us are park rats, right, Mayor? In fact, we had a principal call us last week. In the email, she put, I'm a park rat, and I'm a principal of Palm Lakes Elementary right now. So it's great to see that we all have these connections. But anyway, Michelle and Gary.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gary Sanchez. I live in Hialeah, 515 West 46th Place. I would like to begin by expressing our gratitude to the Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, as well as to the dedicated city officials granting us the opportunity to establish a program founded in integrity, morals, and love. Our aim is to build character in our children and prepare them for facing adversity and many other things, not just football. My wife and our board members and our parents and at the Hialeah Hurricanes are deeply humbled and honored by the opportunity being residents of Hialeah. We are excited about the future of our city and the positive changes that come ahead. Many of our children are new to this game, and about 85% of our kids are actually Hialeah residents. This program is not just about winning football games. It's more about instilling core values, such as integrity, respect, and excellence. These principles will benefit both of our kids and our community, equipping them with the game called life. I thank you guys for the opportunity. I appreciate everybody that's given us a chance here, and God bless you all.
So Mayor and Council, we have some jerseys for you because now the Hialeah Hurricanes are alive and well, and many good things are coming. You want to do it up here? If you guys can come down, you have jerseys being given.
Are the kids gonna come up too, so we can take pictures of them? The chair. Hey, whose chair is this? Ours, mine. Do you mind if I put the chair? Oh, yeah. Okay. Are you guys putting your last name? Okay.
For the vice president. Thank you. Thank you, very good. Yeah, man. Thank you. Thank you for the work, man. Who has the control? You have the control? Melissa, you have the control? Oh. We're good? We're good to go?
We're good.
So this is a brief, we're going to be back in a few months to give you a more in-depth recap, but we wanted to touch bases with the council and mayor just to show you where we're at. I know many of you have seen the progress. We're actually getting complaints at the main office that they can't find parking in our parks, which is a good thing, right? But now, we're going to have to probably build parking garages. So stand by. Melissa? So now, just the recreational leagues, basketball now has not just a rec league, but has an intercity component, has the Miami Heat Junior NBA. Miami Marlins program is doing very, very well. This year, we have touched 310 athletes at Babcock Park compared to last year, 160. So the growth keeps on going higher and higher. Stay tuned. There's more exciting news coming, God willing, in the near future with the Marlins. Summer Intercity League was a great success. Many thanks to Gianna as well, leading that effort with Julio and Juan, the whole team. Recreation, cheer, and dance programs are back alive. We have great capacity in both programs, and it's going to continue to grow. As we build that trust and the element that we're building in the parks, the atmosphere, it'll continue to grow. So the new programs, esports, it's doing amazing. It's a great component we've added to the parks. It's actually, we were first in the game back in 2012 with virtual fitness areas, and now this is taken to a different level. Very exciting to have that here. We're one of the first cities to have something like this in our parks. Hialeah Hurricanes, you just met them. Adult leagues are coming very soon to Hialeah. So during a conversation with the mayor early on, we were very good with the youth and the adults, the seniors, but we forgot the middle component. We forgot the people in the middle from 18 to 55. That's about to change very, very soon. Special Olympics, the first year we have hosted a Camp Shiver here in Hialeah. Expanded park hours and pool hours. Now we're a 7-day operation, much like police and fire. We're always on duty. And I'm going to hand it over now to Michael. We have done a lot of work here, and this has been together. A lot of people contributing to this effort. But Michael has been the man running the show behind the scenes and making these things happen. And we're very blessed to have Michael here in the city. My first conversation with the mayor, talking about Michael, how important he was going to be for this team. And I think he's proven his wealth over and over again. So Michael Fiesta.
Good evening, Michael Festa, 900 East 56th Street. So as Willie mentioned, without these great, amazing programs that we have, we need to have great, amazing facilities. And what we've been doing over the past 2 years is building those facilities back up into a condition that I think represents the city well. So this year, we've accomplished these projects at Mylander. We had the ribbon cutting for the field lights a couple weeks ago. A cool thing about the field lights is the show lights. So it's not just the lights turn on and off, but there's a show if there's a touchdown or a goal. We upgraded the concessions with the help of Mr. George Hernandez right before 4th of July. And we did other beautification projects within the stadium for 4th of July, so you feel like you're in Hialeah when you're in the stadium. Cotton Park, we did the esports room, which shout out to Gianna and Julio and Juan that worked on that. But we also refreshed the recreation center inside the building, so it's more welcoming. It's more a sample of what we want to do with the other recreation centers. We reopened Babcock Pool. Thank you, Douglas, on the aquatic side. So Babcock Pool is open now to the public. First time since before COVID. We'll have 4 pools open within the city. We did with Kaboom, Babcock Park playground replacement. Great project. Community was involved. We had over 300 volunteers. We built a playground in a day, which was pretty cool. We're going to have a second one now in November at Bright Park. McDonald Park, one of our signature hubs for family entertainment and family gatherings. We painted all the pavilions and we upgraded all the lighting in the pavilions, making it a more welcoming experience. Next slide. Sparks Park, towards the start of the fiscal year, we opened the playground along with a tree planting that we did in the spring, planted over 50 trees. We've planted in total close to 70 trees at Sparks Park the last year. Amazing transformation for canopy and for improving the overall aesthetic of the park. Primus Park, right before Seminola 100, we did the beautification at the monument at the front of Seminola. With the help of Mr. George Martinez, AC replacements at multiple parks, with many more on the way. I think the biggest one that we did was Bucky Dent Gym, which was installed in-house at a savings of over $100,000. And we did Wild Community Center because that was a complaint we were receiving a lot about the ACs there. One of the small things, but this was something approved in the capital budget, were table games at the parks. Ping pong tables, pool tables, things like that, things that kids like at the park that were missing in some of the parks or were in bad shape. Southeast Park court resurfacing. This project's about, it is done, the courts are done, but there's some work that's pending around the park. And then Bright Park, with the help of the Children's Trust and the U.S. Soccer Foundation, we turned a piece of asphalt at Bright Park that was not used into a mini pitch. And I was kind of hesitant in the beginning about it because it's like soccer on asphalt, but the kids love it. It's incredible how that space has turned around. So just some quick pictures. This is Mylander. New lights, uplighting, show lights, the flamingo at the press box. Now you know that you're in Hialeah when you go to the stadium. Next slide. Sparks Park. This is a playground. We painted the building and we did the playground behind the building. Again, amazing transformation. This is the Kaboom playground project that we did at Babcock, and we did this a little bit different from the other playgrounds. Is we're incorporating more nature around the playgrounds. So it's not just playground and then grass, but a place that will evoke the native environment of South Florida. Next slide. This is the esports room at Cotton Park. You'll see it in our presentation in a few months. This room was empty. It hadn't been touched in years. There was abandoned furniture. We cleared all that out and made this space. Next slide. And then we have a bunch of other projects that are currently ongoing that will be wrapping up over the course of the next year. The big one is Bucky Dent Park. We'll go into that later. Goodlet Park, the dance floors was demolished, was removed a couple weeks ago. We're hoping to get the floor installed there this in the fall. Mylander, we're pending new lighting in the aquatic center. Bright Park, roof replacement, that's going to come up soon now in the fall. Then Bucky Dent, Bright, and Walker are going to get an installation of about, I think it's 75 trees. And then Bucky Dent will hit again next spring with another series of plantings. Babcock Park LED lighting, that's currently in manufacturing. We're hoping to get that done by the end of this year of 2024. Babcock dugout replacement, that's actually on the consent agenda for tonight. So we'll go into pre-construction if it's approved tonight. Mylander Park, same thing. The security cameras are on the agenda for tonight. We're currently in design, picking fixtures for converting all the tennis and basketball courts in the city to energy efficient LED, which it is one of our biggest needs, and you'll see a little bit about that later. Goodlette Park, we're currently in design to upgrade all the lighting in that park to LED. The Bright Park, that's the kaboom that's happening in November. And then Wild Community Center, we'll be replacing the roof, and that's currently in planning. Next slide. And then Bucky Dent, which is the big project that's gonna take place within the next year. We're doing everything at that park, and we hope that this is gonna be a model for future major renovations at the other parks. So we're doing all the roofs, impact windows, softball, dog park, gymnasium, new floor, new gym. We're doing special pops. We're gonna line that entire park with trees, something that can really become a hub, not just for people that come to play sports, but for a place that people can from outside the community come in and enjoy the park as a passive recreation space. Next slide. And then looking forward into next fiscal year and beyond, some of the big things that you'll be seeing from us is our LED, our sports lighting systems throughout the parks are in below average state. A lot of the technology is becoming out of date. So we're going to have to continue to invest in upgrading from the metal halides. We have some lights from the early 1980s to LED. The cameras throughout the parks, Mylander Aquatic and McDonald Aquatic Center haven't been really touched in a full renovation in over 25 years. We're going to be scoping that out over the next year so we can come back with a full proposal to renovate those facilities in a proper way. Sparks Park, turning one of the fields to artificial turf to support the Hialeah Hurricanes in our soccer programs. Goodlette Park, theater, tennis, mini rinks, we'll be working on that next fiscal year. Replacing little things like replacing the pathway at Triangle Park, which is in pretty bad shape, and it's one of our signature parks during the holidays. Mattingly Park, installing a new playground in line with the Centennial. Improvements at Hialeah Trail Park. All parks continuing our reforestation efforts. We've planted over 300 trees in 2 years. We're hoping to get to close to 500 by the end of next fiscal year. And then our Centennial beautification projects, which we're in the process now of developing the scope for that, which will include parks and entrance monuments throughout the city. And then just general improvements of the recreation centers. And that's it.
Thank you, Michael. As you see, we've been very, very busy. Our team is dedicated. For Michael and I, we know how blessed we are to be in this role. You know, I met my wife here in the parks, and this is a labor of love for us, and we won't stop. That's our commitment to the city, to you. In fact, Michael mentioned it today in a meeting this morning. We had one of our supervisors that we are one speed, and we're not going to change our speed. So we're here to serve and to lead this much better than we found it. Any questions?
Thank you for the update. And I know you guys are working really hard, and it's nice to see all of that getting done.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Just a quick note. I don't exactly remember when it was, but I want to say the narrative with parks about 6 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, was no programming,
Yeah.
parks closed, and really no participation. And the work that they've done, and all of them, because this is just the tip of the spear. There's a whole bunch of other folks. I said this the other day. They're all dedicated to the kids in our city. They take the time, they invest time with them. And what I have found is peace of mind when my kid is at the park. My son right now will be headed over to Sparks Park to train, and I feel completely at ease. And I don't know, that's kind of the way I grew up, right? Get on your bike and go to practice. And so anyways, it's really a testament to all the hard work that they do and the support that all of you have given them so that they could do what they're doing in the park. So more to come.
Yeah.
Great things to come. By the way, they need lights over at Sparks Park, okay?
Yeah.
The kids, the football, the kids that practice football, those kids that were behind us today, all those a little dark.
Yeah.
So actually, we applied for a grant from the state of Florida late last year to turn that middle field into a turf field with lighting upgrades. And we did receive the grant. We're in the process now of signing those agreements with the state of Florida. But we'll have $200,000 to match I think there's 1.8 in the budget coming up to do that, to do the lights in the park and turn one of the fields into artificial turf.
Nice, nice.
And that's one of the parks that you can't find parking right now. Because it's packed every night. Every night. McDonald's too. McDonald's aquatic park and
Through the chair, guys, wow. You know, you guys started this journey, what, 2 or 3 years ago? I mean, it's just been amazing. But you really see the soul and you really see the leadership from you guys and from all the directors when you go to the parks and you see that part-timer that just started his first job, energetic, talking to the kids, and you can see the smile. And as a kid, me myself being a park rag all my life, remember me looking up to those people. And the same legacy that I learned, I can tell you, I see it in every single park. I mean, there's not one park manager you have a conversation that you see their eyes, everything. And by the way, your offices, everybody, every time that we have a special project that's going to help the community, you guys are all for it. We're working long hours, everybody. We're always out there looking for how to help people out. I mean, and then we're actually policing the parks, which is every time we see bad apples there, which is not much, guess what? We just work together and remove that, and by helping kids out. So I think one of the cornerstones of a community for people come back to the city where they live, they're just like us was the park system. So thank you for your leadership. Thank you for all the directors out there. I'm proud, man. I'm proud right now. I know we all feel proud. Think about what we're doing here, what you're doing. Where people are not using our parks anymore in the country, staying home, playing whatever. Look how many programs we have there, and more to come. Because I know we have baseball coming up soon. I gotta say it. We got baseball coming up. We got football. We got basketball. Mayor, you know, we're it. So thank you guys. Appreciate that. I know the entire council feels the same way. Thank you so.
thank you.
Thank you.
Through
Good
the
night.
Chair.
Willie, Michael, just wanted to say thank you both for everything you've done and keeping our parks top notch. You know, it's important for our youth, not only our youth, but the whole community. I was very impressed with the pictures, and I look forward to the adult program.
Yes.
I swam for Mylander many years ago, so I heard about that. So I look forward to that. So, but thank you.
So multi-generational parks, that's what we're building.
Yes, I love
Okay,
it.
so
Thank you.
that's the plan. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Willie.
Thank you, sir.
brother. Nice haircut.
We can't, you missed it. We
Yeah.
can't stop.
No, you don't stop.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. All right. So moving on to announcements of amendments.
Consent item W has been added to today's agenda. The expenditure amount for consent item R has been corrected from $249,999.99 to $24,999.99. The department for consent item S has been updated from construction and maintenance to fleet maintenance. The property address of zoning item 15H has been corrected from 4030 West 8th Street to 4030 West 88th Street. In accordance with section 376.80 of the Florida statutes, today we will hold the first of 2 public hearings on a resolution as provided for in administrative item 11A to create a new Florida Brownfield area at the property located at 16300 Northwest 97th Avenue in Hialeah. The property owner requested this designation in order to address environmental contamination caused by the property's historical uses, which will allow the property owner to access environmental cleanup incentives provided by the state at no cost to the city. The second and final public hearing will take place during the city council meeting of September 10th, 2024.
All right, board appointments. Madam A.
Mr. Chair, if I may add to that item.
Yes, sir.
So the Florida law, though it's a resolution, does require 2 readings. The applicants who is involved with Michael Goldstein, who was a counsel on this, has had a death in the family. And I want to explain that they will not appear tonight due to that, but they will be present at the second hearing to explain this proposed Brownfield designation to the city council, and will be explaining the application at that time to you, but are not absent tonight due to those family circumstances. And thank you.
Thank you, City Attorney.
Through the chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I don't think we've ever had a reading like this. Can you explain this a little bit for me? The cleanup, the environmental cleanup incentives?
Well, Brownsfield designation is something that is allowed by state law. And it means basically that brownfields are abandoned, idled, or underutilized industrial and commercial sites that are not being developed because of real or perceived environmental contamination. They're formerly things like inactive gas stations, train depots, landfills. The state law provides that the city may itself, on the application of someone else, provide for a designation. And when you provide for the designation, the person who is the applicant has to, A, agree to rehabilitate and redevelop the Brownsfield site to make it productive again, all right?
Okay.
That's required by state law. 2, it will result in economic productivity in the area, at minimum with the creation of 5 new permanent jobs in the Brownsfield sites. 3, that it's consistent with the local comprehensive plan and permitted uses. 4, that notice has been provided to neighbors and nearby residents, which the city has done. 5, that the person proposing the area for designation, which in this case is not the city, it's the applicant who controls the site, has provided that he has reasonable assurances that they have sufficient financial resources to implement and complete the rehabilitation agreement and redevelopment of the Brownsfield site. I will just say that as a matter of general knowledge, the applicant that is involved in this is WGC 97th Property LLC. They are represented by the Goldstein Environmental Law Firm. And just for the record, the practice of these people is pretty much limited to brownfields. So, you're going to have a presentation from people that are involved with this on a recurring basis. So I hope that gives you a brief overview of what it's about.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, go ahead, City Clerk.
Item 9A, proposed resolution reappointing Carolina Naveras as a member of the Cultural Affairs Committee for the City of Hialeah for a 2-year term ending on March 8th, 2026, and providing for an effective date.
Motion.
Motion, we have a motion to approve by the Vice President.
Second.
I have a question, if I may, through the chair.
Yeah, we have a second by Louis. Go ahead.
The Cultural Affairs Board, is this, were we pending having one more member in order to have it active again?
That's correct.
So then having this person added to the board will reinstate it?
That is correct.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Yes.
All right, call the roll, please.
Ms. De La Vega,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor.
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Okay, item 9B, please.
Proposed resolution reappointing Odalis Menihia to the Cultural Affairs Committee of the City of Hialeah, Florida for a 2-year term ending on April 11th, 2026, and providing for an effective date.
Well, all these good people. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
We have a motion by the Vice President,
Second.
second by Luis Rodriguez. Call the roll, please.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor.
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
All right, so consent agenda, any items to pull?
Motion.
No,
Through the chair.
none? Yes, sir.
Item G as in golf, item P as in Papa, and item W as in whiskey.
All right, so G, P as in Papa, and then W as in whiskey. And, all right, do we have any other items to pull? No? Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do
Second.
we have a motion by the Vice President, second by Rodriguez?
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor.
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega.
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Motion carries. The consent agenda has passed except items G, P, and W.
G, B,
P.
P is in, okay, as in Pam, and then W. All right, item G, please.
Request permission to increase purchase order number 2024-804 issued to Total Caption LLC for the purchase of closed captioning services required for all public meetings held during the 2023 through 2024 fiscal year by an amount not to exceed $25,346.50 for a total cumulative expense amount not to exceed $50,346.50. The expenditures to be charged to the general fund professional services account number 0010201519310.
All right, item G, Councilman Calvo.
Thank you. Hey, Ricky, so for this, is this something new that we're doing, the closed captioning? Is that a new requirement or?
So
because
we've
on
been-
the-
Ricardo Suarez, CIO, City of Hialeah. So we've been doing the closed captioning since COVID started.
Okay,
We've actually discontinued it now and we're using the AI built in within Zoom to do the closed captioning for us.
right.
This item is actually incorrect. The difference is only $346, so it should only be $25,346, not $50,000. I just realized it now when I read it.
Okay,
So cumulative should only be
So it's not an
25,000.
increase to the PO, it's an issuance of a PO?
It's
the
the
amount.
increase. It's the issuance for the amount, correct? Correct. Not to exceed the 25,346.
okay. I saw it was just missing like a couple signatures. I guess that was just. Yeah, typically it's signed by the mayor and the finance director. I'm on page
Councilmember, the
181.
reason that's like that is because we now have a new software that everything's signed electronically.
Okay.
So you wouldn't see it on the agenda unless it was signed.
Okay.
But the
fair enough.
directors are still submitting the old form to
Gotcha.
explain.
So for the closed captioning, just out of curiosity, is somebody like manually transcribing it?
They were, yeah.
They were.
We had somebody doing it, yes.
And so now that we're increasing this purchase order, we're moving away from the AI generated via Zoom and we're going back.
No,
to
no,
the
we're
manual?
going to the AI.
We're moving
generated one.
to the AI now.
We were moving away from the
Okay.
physical person captioning.
Got it. So this company, Total Caption, will stop giving us the services?
We did stop with them
Right.
about 2 months ago now,
Okay,
and this is just to finish paying them off.
Got
and closing
got
it
it.
out.
got it. And so all of it now is going to be done through Zoom's internal tool?
Correct.
Okay, all right. And when we were doing it with Total Caption before, because I never really saw the captions on the YouTube, I looked at it through YouTube. There's no way to change the language, is there?
There is. So we did it, it would be in English and Spanish, and then it was actually through a additional link where you can change the language and follow it there.
Okay.
It wasn't directly through Zoom, no.
Now that it's through Zoom, does Zoom also have the same feature?
It does.
Okay, great. All right, thank you. That's all.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by the Vice President. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by, who's that? By Melinda De La Vega. All right, call the roll, please.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
She said yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
All right,
Thank you.
item P.
Proposed resolution authorizing Hermanos de la Calle to serve as the new homeless outreach for the city of Hialeah as a subrecipient of CDBG funds and authorizing the allocation of community development block grant public service funds to support homeless outreach services in the amount of $118,440.89. Further authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute a subrecipient agreement in substantial conformity with the agreement attached hereto and made a part hereof as Exhibit 1, and authorizing a supplemental appropriation pursuant to Hialeah, Florida Charter Section 3.08, subsection E1, in aforementioned amounts to the Community Development Block Grant Program and providing for an effective date.
All right, Hermanos de la Calle, I think that was that Councilman Calvo?
Yep,
Yes, sir. Go ahead, you're recognized.
thank you. Yeah, so I just had a question. Was this the grant that originally was going to Citrus? And now this is a new agency that we're going to partner with?
Hi, Daniela Tamayo with the Grants and Human Services Department, 501 Palm Avenue. No, this is a separate funding source.
Okay, so we'll still continue with Citrus. This will be additional.
Yeah, Hermano de la Calle will serve as the outreach team. So they'll be out targeting parks, looking to see who's out there and see what kind of services we can offer.
Okay, so the money is basically used to provide for the outreach, essentially.
Yes,
Okay, but within the amount, it's not necessarily a service provided to the like end receiver.
we are including hotel assistance, a small
Hotel
amount, yeah,
Got
for
it.
families
Got it.
or vulnerable adults.
Just out of curiosity, I mean, I had never heard of this agency. I mean, they contacted us, or how did that?
Yeah, well, she's right here. She works with the Homeless Trust.
Okay,
So she already serves as an outreach team and she's helped countless of people that are on the streets. So we are very, very happy to be working with her in our city now.
got it. Well, I'd love to hear just a short snippet.
Hello, my name is Malena Legarre. I am the executive director for Hermanos de la Calle. Hermanos de la Calle is a nonprofit organization. We started as a little group of families like 10 years ago, just feeding on the streets, doing, a little bit of outreach like on a family way to show our children how important it was to try to help people. And we soon realized that we wanted to do more. And we have several programs, one of which is serving the migrant population arriving to Miami without a place to go. So we are using a hotel here in Hialeah, so we've been familiar with the area. And that's somehow we get in contact with Daniela and her team, because we would get referrals from them of people arriving to the city without a place to live. We give like short-term assistance and we connect with resources to these migrants. And we provide relocation also for those that can go to another city or state. We have some of those funds also in the budget for this proposal. Like if some person that is experiencing homelessness in Hialeah has a place to go outside of the city or the state, we included some amount of money for relocation purposes, mostly outreach, a team that dedicated to receiving referrals from police officers, fire department, or the city, whoever, plus of course going to encounter the people where they are at on the streets, and engaging, placing in shelter, referring to housing if that is a possibility. If a chronic homeless is eligible for a housing referral, we would certainly refer them to the housing coordinator at the Homeless Trust. We have connections because we are doing outreach for the Homeless Trust for Miami-Dade County. And that's somehow also we've been doing some cases in Hialeah. We are familiar, not very familiar with the area, but a little bit. And we want to, of course, be more, and that is the starting point, going out there, knowing these parks that you were mentioning, receiving calls or referrals from whoever encounters a person that is homeless and that needs our help and assistance. So happy, if possible, to have this opportunity, happy to be helpful for this very vulnerable population. And for the families like Daniela was saying, families with minor children, we have some spared money for hotels so that we can give a little time for them to stand up and connect with resources through Citrus or through the city so that they can, get rental assistance and start again. That's a little bit of the idea.
That's great. That sounds great. How would we be able to get into contact with you? Do you have an email or phone number?
Yes, we have a phone number and we will be on call after hours and during weekends too. Probably Daniela can provide my information unless I can click cards or whatever. But yes, we have my phone number and the person who will be assigned a street outreach worker, full-time employee, and someone that is going to be part-time for when, there is a cleanup and we want to go like in partners. So we are going to have a second person, at least for those special occasions where we need to be accompanied, or it's better to be in partners.
Yeah.
And if I may, we are establishing policies and procedures. So we're going to be meeting with the police department, fire department, just to set our ground rules and how the process would work on the referrals. We're just getting started. So it's going to take a little bit of time to get acclimated, get the process going, but we're excited to start.
So it'll be the one person and then it'll be a part-time whenever as needed, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was the hotel that you said that you were partnering with here in Hialeah?
In Chesapeake, Morel.
Oh,
Chesapeake?
The Chesapeake?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir. Mayor, go ahead. He's done.
Have you been doing stuff already in the city of Hialeah? Have you been doing work in the city?
We did, yes. We participated in a cleanup close to the railroad station. We participate with the police. We went out there. We got referrals from a couple of police officers. We even we have a shared housing program. We have 20 houses within the county where we simply rent houses and sublease to the people with the authorization of the landlords. A couple of people from Hialeah sleeping in the park in Hialeah or the bus stop in Hialeah are living now with us. Also, the clinics, around here refer people to us because they have people who, when they engage with their caseworkers in the clinics, they usually, get to know that they are homeless, although other people doesn't know, but they get to know that they are homeless and they also contact us. And we refer to shelter, we refer to our housing program, and we did help people in Hialeah. I don't have numbers, but I don't remember the name of the officer, but we have been in contact with a couple of.
That's quite all right.
Andy, yeah.
Are you seeing the homeless in Hialeah? Are you seeing couples? Are you seeing women? Are you seeing families?
Families, we don't see them on the street, but we get the call and we go to the encounter. And maybe at this point, someone has been helping, so they are not literally homeless. Only once in a liquor store, outside a liquor store, we came at night because we need to verify homelessness. Some people call you, they tell you that they are sleeping on the streets, but it's important to go and see if they are really sleeping on the streets. That's homeless verification. And it's important to do that. We did help a whole family, mother and daughter with 4 children, and we placed them in the Chesapeake Motel and then in Lotus House. So yes, we also found a couple of times families, but usually those are referrals or homeless prevention, like trailer park that is going to be dismantled, and we get that calls and we try to help beforehand the situation comes for the family to be out there.
Yeah, Council, this is a good asset to have in the city. We're seeing, and it's unfortunate, and you could put your finger on multiple things, the collapse of the border, the amount of people that have come in, the lack of affordable housing, the fact of that housing is at a premium, and you see rents skyrocket. And I know, and I've had conversations, they've come to my office of folks that are employed, but they don't have an apartment. And so this narrative of somebody sleeping in a car, trying to find a safe place to park their car and sleep is real. And so to have this asset in our city that could help, orientate folks, guide them to the help that they need. As you well know, our budget, we invest in what we need to invest. And so we're very judicious in this space, but to use grant money, monies that could come and flow through us to help, I think is wise. And, they have a very good reputation in the community of the work that they do. So, and like them, there are others that do the same kind of work, but thankfully our people are out there doing it.
Thank you, Mayor.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just one final note, because you did mention something interesting, which was, like trailer parks, right? When they are torn down for development, there's a displacement there. A couple months ago, obviously, the council passed an RV legislation. A lot of people, unfortunately, were using those to live, which a lot of us weren't in agreement with. And so maybe that's a potential source of where to start, doing that outreach, that hard labor, and seeing if there's anybody that needs help. Hopefully not. Hopefully they've already figured it out. But to the extent that it's necessary, I think that's an interesting place to begin.
Good to know. Okay.
Yep.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you for your work.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Daniela, first of all, I want to thank you for the support. Our office has been very busy. Your whole staff been very compassionate about every single case that we have brought to them. I can tell you, your staff been looking for solutions. I think this will be one of the resources, and then just thank you, appreciate in front of everybody, because I know you've been able to help like 10 families from our end. So thank you. How you did, I don't know. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If I may, through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Just to have some clarity, what's the amount of time that they can stay at that hotel? Like, is there a maximum amount of time that we allow the help? What would that? What would
Yeah,
that be?
the program only allows 3 months max,
Okay,
but we want to encourage the sooner the better so that the funds can be appropriately used.
are we getting a special rate for that motel? Is that why
Yes,
are they working with us? Okay.
yes.
And then, do we disqualify someone or are the parameters that they have to have a family, that they have to have children? Or can it just be a gentleman that's by himself, that's older, that has health issues? Is there any kind of,
So for the hotel assistance is very limited. So we want to focus on vulnerable adults or families with children. So like elderly and, they have to apply, they have to meet certain qualifications, like have IDs, birth certificates, and so on and so forth. But that's our priority with these funding. Hopefully, we can increase the amount of money that we can use for this and expand it. But right now, that's the focus.
and then is there like a path to getting them out of this situation? Is there a program that we sign them up for to kind of find them housing, find them a job? Is there a second kind of phase to this assistance?
So we refer to the job search career source, and we work with the Homeless Trust. Malena works closely with to see if they find shelter. And then we have the ERA program, the rent assistance, Stitchers. At the end of the day, they also have to work with us. They have to collect their documents that are needed. So
Right.
sometimes that's why it falls through the cracks.
Right. Okay, and they could just come down to Grant's office, make an appointment and kind of fill out the proper paperwork? Is that how we're gonna go about this?
So the first thing I want to do is go to the parks, and I want to go out and see the people that are out there, mainly with the outreach team, because we don't know who's out in our streets right now. But if we have people that are homeless right now, we always get them to call our office, and we can send her to go to them and.
Because let's say we each have somebody that we want to refer to the program, do we just send them down
Yeah,
to the
you
Grant's
can
office?
just
and-
send us an email, send me an email.
All right, thank you so much for this.
Yeah.
I appreciate your
I'll
help and
connect.
your support.
Daniela, quick question. So these agreements that are they with the motels, the hotels, or the Holiday Inns? Everybody got.
Okay, Pitbull,
Yeah.
with the.
Just
Yeah,
avoid
it's
the
hard,
question,
it's
avoid
a
the
tough
question.
question.
Divert.
Okay, so Daniela, so the 118,000 that we're paying to Los Hermanos de la Calle, are they triaging the homeless, or is it, or what?
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's say we get a call that there's a person on a park. She's gonna send the person out. They're gonna get their information, offer services, say, hey, what are you interested in? Sometimes they say, no, I'm good here. And we just get their information and get them in the system.
Who's that? You go back
Yeah,
again?
you continue until you try to get them to accept services.
Okay, and so who was doing the triaging before?
So first it was the City of Miami Green Shirts. I think they had like a team that would come out, but we never had like an in-house team. We tried to create one in the grants department, but we lost one of the staff. So and it was like
We
not the
lost them to
best.
the line of work, is that what we did?
She left the department.
Okay.
So I decided that it was better to just contract out.
All right, thank you. All right, any other council discussion?
Motion.
We have a motion by the Vice President. We have a second by Melinda de la Vega. Please call the roll.
Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Okay, item W.
Proposed resolution waiving competitive bidding and authorizing the mayor or his designee and the city clerk as a testing witness on behalf of the city to increase purchase order number 2024-819 issued to Mi Vision LLC provider for the payment of certain professional services, approving the purchase order in a total cumulative amount not to exceed $50,000 and providing for an effective date.
Councilman Calvo, you're recognized.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to know what the professional services were.
Many of you may not know Mi Vision LLC, but you do know Daisy Castellon. And Daisy works with the city as a liaison with all our local schools, public and non-public schools. And pretty much interfaces, whatever the schools need. She is in constant communication with my office. And she also organizes the school visits, not just for myself, but for anybody on the city council that would like to. The price of the contract is not the 50,000, that's for the non-exceed. I think her price is $25,000. And this is something that we've been doing now this is the third year, I think, that we're doing it.
Yeah, so I pulled this item last year. Nobody was able to really answer what Daisy did. It seems like you're saying that she's some sort of liaison with the schools.
Specifically, she'll work with all the different principals, share with us things that the school may need. For example, one of the schools that we were working with last year, I believe, had an influx of kids that are arriving in our city, literally from the border, days in. And I thought it was very important that we should know these kind of things so that we work with these kids, help them assimilate, get them involved in a lot of our park programs. She's also worked with other schools, parochial schools, small daycare centers, as really a interface between us and all these multiple schools that we have in our city from all different. So in essence, she makes communication with all these principals, assesses needs that they may have, areas that we could work together. And for the most part, when we do events that sometimes are book bag related or literally go and visit some of these schools to talk to the children that have just arrived, she helps coordinate and set that up. And I mean, there's that and other things. She serves on our centennial board, also helping out, again, working with the school systems and as a liaison to make sure that the schools are aware of what we're doing, help coordinate events that the schools will be able to participate. So really, she's been a very valuable tool for us, like I said, over the last 3 years. I don't know if they didn't give you the answer last year, but it's basically what she's been doing since she joined us.
Yeah, no, definitely nobody gave that answer. I mean, I thought it was odd because there wasn't any real backup documentation on this item. Like what you're saying, none of it is really in writing here. It's just more like she's providing services, but it doesn't go into what services exactly.
We could provide you a list of all the different things that she's done since she's been here and all the things that she's programming for this fiscal year that she'll be working with us again.
Okay, and so her fee is what, the 50,000 a year?
No, I believe her fee is $25,000.
Okay, all right. So safe to say she's not doing this full time. It's more of a.
Yeah, it's a part-time.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Thank you.
All right, do you have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by the Vice
Second.
President, second by Monica Perez.
Mr. Calvo,
No.
Ms. De La Vega,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you so much. All right, so we're getting into administrative items, item 11A.
This is an item for discussion. A vote will be obtained during the second public hearing to be held on September 10th, 2024. Proposed resolution designating the property located at 16300 Northwest 97th Avenue, Hialeah, Florida 33018, and identified by folio number 042017001007 and legally described herein as Brownfield area pursuant to section 376.80 subsection 2C of the Florida statutes for the purpose of rehabilitation, job creation, and promoting economic redevelopment. Authorizing the city of Hialeah to notify the Florida Department of Environmental Protection of said designation and providing for an effective date.
Right, so this item, Mayor, is this the annexation of, what is this? Okay, oh, no, it's a different, okay, do we have any council discussion on
Yeah,
this?
through the chair.
Yes, sir.
I mean, so the person that was going to give us the synopsis isn't here. Is that my understanding is correct?
As I explained earlier, the person who was giving the presentation has had a death in the family.
Okay.
The person is therefore out of town. They have assured the city that they will be here for the second reading to give a presentation and to answer any questions, and that's the message I'm relaying to you because, you know, the advertising was already done, frankly.
Right. Well, listen, I mean, obviously I'll keep my comments short then. But this is a little problematic. I mean, we have to look at this very closely because this property, from what I can see in the map, is just directly west of 36 Ave. I mean, right across the street, we have obviously all the development going on in the annex. And we're basically saying here that this piece of property is extremely contaminated and that requires the use of, you know, federal funds or what have you. So for cleanup purposes. So, you know, we have to look at it from a liability standpoint as well.
All right, so
Obviously, the developer will, you know, profit and, you know, have their benefits incurred. I think the argument for us approving this was because it didn't cost the city any money. But perhaps it won't cost us in the beginning, but it might in the end.
Okay, so this item, I think, because we have to open it up for public comments at this time. Are there any public comments, online?
No, sir.
If I
Any-
may, through the chair.
One second, ma'am. Hold on. Any in the chamber? Any comments in the chamber? Done. Councilwoman Perez?
I just want to make a note that it's very difficult now to find the backup items. If there's a way that we could change this, I'm having a really difficult time finding it and searching for it. And putting in the clue words, but I don't know if we could have a different way of being able to view these items.
Yes, City Clerk, you got some?
I mean, we would need to ask the program, the software. I don't know of any other way other than control find and look for the item.
I know, but I've been trying and I'm having a really difficult time.
Scrolling down, if you follow the order, you can also do that.
It's very hard.
There's a
'Cause it's
feature
so
in
many.
Adobe. Yeah, there's a feature in Adobe you can hyperlink to pages, but somebody will have to manually do that and do bookmarks.
It's
on the
really hard to
right-hand
find
side.
it, like on the fly to be able to go back and look and refer to it.
Yeah.
I'll check with the.
Yeah, if we could ask them,
Let's look at
please.
that, City Clerk, okay?
Thank you.
I believe we have a comment on this item. Name and address, sir, please.
Juan Santana, 5601 West 10th Avenue. Regarding, you guys can't see the backup document, I suggest you guys table the matter to get this worked out, because at the end of the day, you guys work as a functioning board, as a legislative body of the city, and I need every single one of you to be educated to see what decisions you make today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Juan.
Mr. President, may I?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Claudia Husband, Principal Planner for the City of Hialeah. Just a brief description of the Brownfield program is. As it was read into the record, this is a federal program that actually helps to clean up contaminated sites. The site has already identified as contaminated. As several other lands around that area, they're already identified as contaminated. So this is not that contamination is going or hasn't been identified. The contamination is already there. So what they're doing is similar, a brownfield, it is similar to a zoning overlay, if you put it simple. So basically it's a designation for the land that allows property owners to apply for grants and other incentives. For example, City of Orlando, where the soccer stadium is, that it is a brownfield site. So through the creation of jobs, through the implementation of cleanups, they can get tax credits and other benefits that will allow them to develop the land. So that land doesn't sit vacant or without any proper use throughout the years. So basically it's an allowance to get either funding, grants, credits, and other aspects. But the land is already contaminated. So it's actually a benefit for the city to accept the brownfield designation so they can go and apply these additional tools that they have at their hand.
Are you familiar with a federal Superfund site?
It's different. I'm not familiar with the super site.
So the federal government has the same framework that Florida has, where they designate areas as contaminated. Federal government comes in, spend $1 bajillion to clean it up, and then they allow for development, typically for affordable housing projects. The problem is that they typically do these in very, toxic locations, hence the whole purpose of it. But the prevalence of cancer in these sites is extremely through the roof. So the federal government has gotten the short end of the stick because they've gotten sued by every lawyer around the country for all these cancer instances where people were basically sold housing units and they weren't notified. Now, obviously, in the annex, we all know that it's contaminated throughout. It's not just the site, it's many of the sites where buildings were approved. So my fear is if we're going to be going out and saying, hey, this particular parcel meets the requirements for these Florida state dollars to come in and fix up the contamination, what's to say that the contamination isn't the same across the street? And so now you're opening up a can of worms where the city, in the end, who approved a lot of the buildings in that area, a lot of the zoning changes, now we could be facing liability. That's what I'm trying to say. Yes, I agree. If you look at it just from the perspective of this would bring money to this area and try to redevelop this parcel, absolutely, it's going to be a good thing. It's going to be a good thing for the property owner as well. However, we have to look at it from the city's point of view, which is, does this open us up to potential issues down the road? Maybe not today, maybe 20 years from now. So that was essentially the discussion I think the council needs to be informed about to make the decision, whether it's the next meeting or what have you.
Sure, definitely. The, as you mentioned, the contamination has been identified already. And the fact that other lands, they hadn't been designated brownfield is because assuming that developers actually took the upfront and did the remediation that it was necessary to redevelop those lands. So it is not that because it's brownfield, you have like an X mark on that land. Other lands, they were also identified and the remediation already took place. Somebody took the front and paid for that, not through a grant program such as the brownfield.
Yeah, no, the problem is if they did it right. That's the
They
key.
have several process and permits that they have to go through, not only through the state, but through the federal program to constantly monitor. They have monitoring systems in place that they have to be in order, not even as a brownfield, but just to contaminated land that they have to maintain. There are agreements that they are in place, and there's several other documents in place that they need to be followed through.
Right.
Right.
Well, it's fascinating discussion, but we're not taking a vote today, right? We're going to take it next.
Correct,
meeting,
next meeting, yes.
Right, and these questions could be posed to the applicant. But again, to repeat, the state statute tells you what the factors are that the commission is to consider, which is who controls the site. Is the rehabilitation going to result in economic productivity to the area, create new permanent jobs? Is it consistent with the comp plan and zoning? Has adequate notice been given? And does the person who's providing for rehabilitation provided reasonable assurance that he or she has financial resources to implement? The Florida Brownfield Act, I do not see it expressly immunizing developers from whatever liability they have. It's does not impute liability to a permitting agency such as the city or county either. I'm not saying that's impossible. All I'm telling you is that the factors for the council to consider after hearing the presentation and the facts are the ones set forth in the Florida statute, which I just listed.
Okay, so who's, so what do they want to do on the site? Who can speak to that?
Well, that's unless planning can, that's why you need the applicant here. But again, the applicant had a death in the family. They apologized.
Yeah.
And unless you're ready to address
No,
that.
sir, we don't have any information at this point.
We don't know anything there?
We don't have
Okay,
an
how big is
application.
that site? How big is that site, Claudia?
9.9 acres.
There we go. Thank
So
you.
9.9 acres?
Yes.
If I may. I
Yes,
believe
ma'am.
It's in the backup. It says that there's 55 truck docks, 141 parkings. There's a backup from Langen.
Currently, it's vacant land.
But is this like warehouses?
It is a possibility that it's a permitted use in that area, but we haven't received a site plan or any application yet.
There's something in the
Yeah, I
backup.
think she's saying
That's-
we have a site plan here.
We have a site plan in the backup. Is Deborah here?
No, ma'am.
Yeah, we do. We have a backup. It's page 1415. So either way, we're not voting for this today.
We're not.
Okay.
State law requires to public readings.
Right.
So you will be voting next time. And it's, up to the council based on the factors in the law and what you hear and the evidence presented. You're not voting tonight.
So Claudia, so I see here that this is 97th Avenue, 16300 Northwest 97th Avenue. So it's on Northwest 36th Avenue. So,
I think it's
so
next to
it's
the
in the
charter
annex,
school.
but north of it is,
The
I don't
charter
know.
school, right?
I don't know what you got. No, it's an
It's
empty.
the charter school is to the west.
The west of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it can't be to the west because west of
Yeah.
it is the, all right.
The South Florida Autism Charter is to the west of it. It's on that corner lot
Yeah, here.
facing the residential area of the annex.
Across the street from the residential.
From which one? From Bonterra?
Oh, okay,
Or
but this is the land right here. See, yeah.
is the fire station in front of it? No.
It is north of the park.
Claudia, so I noticed that south of that land, okay, we have a little slither on 97th Avenue. Is that contaminated too? Right next to the charter school?
I will have to look for the records. I cannot tell you for
Yeah.
that specific land.
Okay, no.
Everything is
there's a-
contaminated in that area.
Yeah. There's an online tool by Derm. You can go online and you can type in any address anywhere in the county, and that'll tell you the
Mhm.
contamination levels. It'll tell you the last time a report was done in that area. You can pull up the reports, look at them. And this particular parcel is like off the charts.
All right.
All of them are.
All right, sounds good. Do we have any other council discussion? Any other public comments? All right, let's go to item B, please.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending chapter 94 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hialeah entitled Water and Source, and in particular Hialeah Code Section 94-163 entitled Water and Wastewater Payment in lieu of franchise fees, to suspend the collection of the water and wastewater franchise fee to be imposed, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for inclusion in code, providing for a severability clause, and providing for a sunset provision, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item's in second reading. This is a franchise fee. Do we have any public comments online, City Clerk?
No, sir.
All right, so, sir, name and address?
Juan Santana, 5601 West 10th Avenue. Regarding this last year, I was away at California. It was very disgusting. Smelled like pee everywhere. But it was over there in downtown LA. But somebody sent me an article that I was mentioning in the Miami Herald regarding this. I guess you guys had on the last reading and I wasn't here. Mayor, where are we at regarding actually taking away the rest of the franchising fee that we charge the residents due to the negligence of prior administrations?
We considered that, and I think we're not there yet, though. I thought it was very wise that we, in essence, suspended this year. And God willing, if the city, if the trend continues, and we get our sea legs, ultimately we could do away with it permanently. But there's much more going on right now between us and the county with regards to billing,
the water plant.
A lot of questions between us, really reverse osmosis plant that has
That was a
really
mess.
become an albatross, not just for us, but for the county also, because they're on the hook for it also. So, Juan, ultimately, I'd like to get there. I'm not there just yet. But, I'm very mindful, and I complain about the water rates also in my home.
I appreciate that, Mayor.
yeah,
One
we're
of the
gonna
things
work through that.
one of the things I just have a minute and 13 minutes, a minute and 10, sorry. One of the things I just want to remind the council, several of you have run on this topic regarding lowering the water bill in the city of Hialeah. And we have not fulfilled any of that. And, I know you guys work diligently to do that, but, it's all about lobbying at the end of the day at the county level. And secondly, let's not forget, we've dealt with inflation. I think across the board, it's been 34% in the last 3 years. That's not even including insurance cost. I think, Mayor, whatever you need from me to help with regarding this, Mayor Levine's still there, so I think we just need to start building that bridge to have more conversations about this. Because a lot of the residents can't, and we're trying to stop all the illegal efficiencies, all the illegal trailers and all this other stuff. But if we continue with prior administration, right, that was a poor administration that just tacked on this new fee. And, that's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Through the
you so
chair.
much. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Juan. So, a lot, like you said, a lot of us ran on lowering water. I think after the late Armando Vidal, the only person that understands water really well, obviously Linsky, this topic is of paramount importance, maybe not in our day-to-day as council people, but it is certainly in the residents' perspective. And we've just had such little movement in this space. I mean, I remember the very first resolution that I sponsored as a council member 3 years ago was on water. And I came in with a list of 10 different points that we should analyze. One of them was this, to see if we would eliminate the franchise fee. There was obviously budgetary considerations 3 years ago that don't exist today. The budget in the city of Hialeah has inflated almost $50 million. And so now we're in a financial position where we could take this franchise fee away. Great. And we should take it away because it's just an additional tax on residents. But the larger conversation still remains unanswered. I mean, what are we doing? What is the future of Hialeah water? We had 2 workshops a couple years ago that didn't result in anything. A lot of good ideas came out of those workshops, but implementation was slow. Now we have a new director. We were waiting for him to sort of, get his feet wet, no pun intended, and understand the processes here in Hialeah. I think we're in a position now where we have to revisit this conversation in a very serious fashion. We shouldn't be picking sort of these items one apiece in a very dense agenda. We have to sit down and really talk about water again in a separate session. We have to understand the financial impact because, I mean, I'm looking through the backup and nobody seemed to have attached a chart saying how much money this was going to cost us. And understand that in relation to this debt that I'm hearing that we owe all this money to Miami-Dade County. Obviously, the administration disputes a lot of that money. And what we're going to do with the future of our water plant. So, I mean, it's just such a complicated issue. We look at these things sort of like one-off every couple months, and we're just not doing. We don't have a plan. We don't have a plan for this department. The rates are going to keep going up. And let me tell you, there's elections next year in Hialeah, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to beat their chests and say that they did something for water. But the problem is, like, what did we really do? It's the same. It's the same. So, I would like to see on top of this franchise fee that at the minimum thing that we should do is have a meeting dedicated to water, understand this issue with this debt with the county, and understand what our plans moving forward, what the administration sees is the path forward for this department,
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Councilman, I've actually had quite a few meetings with Kevin. Maybe Kevin, you can you can have a conversation with us next board meeting. You can tell your vision as far as what you're doing to lower the future of the water bill. I know this is the first time we're actually reducing it or not charging the tax, but there is a plan, Mr. Councilman. I mean, please, let him have, well, actually, we had 2 meetings. You're very detailed, and I know you were ready to present it to us at one time. But I feel confident that we're doing something about it. I'm sorry I haven't brought him to speak to the council, but there's been a lot of conversation between him and myself. So Kevin, maybe next time we can have a conversation, we can bring it to the council. Definitely your long forward term is going to have a solution and a real solution for the city of Hialeah. So I appreciate that, but just those conversations need to be had with the council. Thank you.
Yeah, let's.
Look,
let's
I
put
think
it up.
it's important to understand that this is a topic that is discussed almost on a daily basis. There has to be a realization. You could erase the fee, the franchise fee tomorrow. We could just do away with it completely. It might be irresponsible to do, but you could do away with it. Until we could settle a real dispute between the amount that they claim we owe and an amount of water that we process for them that we claim, until we could boil that down, and they can't give us any certainty on how much water, dirty water, sewage was diverted to us. They can't give you that number. And that's at the crust of this. But make no mistake, tomorrow you could eliminate the franchise fee. If the county, under a consent decree, continues to raise its rates, we buy the water from them. This reverse osmosis plant is a serious bone of contention that we have. Serious. It is a complicated issue. It has a lot of political tentacles to it, unfortunately. And the easiest thing to say, we're going to lower the water bill. It's very easy to say, but extremely difficult to get to that point without literally taking general revenue fund and sticking it in there and buying back rates. Now, this council, at the request of my administration, has done a lot in this area. You know, in last year's budget, we worked to help those that were finding it difficult to pay their water bill. We set aside money to help those folks.
How many people applied to that?
Virtually nobody did. So I wonder how much it is a complaint, because it's in our DNA to complain. I complain about taxes, water, and insurance. Those three in my home. I complain to my kid, and he can't do anything about it. But we opened a program. We advertised the program, put it through our water bill so people could take full advantage of it, and they didn't. They didn't. I don't know. Maybe they were. I don't have any understanding of why, but it isn't from lack of effort from this council. And I can tell you, since Kevin didn't need a lot of ramp up time. Kevin worked at the county. He understands that monster pretty much better than anybody. And they know it. And they know that he knows what they know. And he's been involved. It's a constant conversation with them. And there is a loggerhead. Now, when the county throws out a marker out there saying you owe us money, the county's cash strapped. Because we've been in this dispute. We've had these conversations. I've sat down with Mayor Cava. I've sat down with Jimmy Morales, and we've had these conversations. And they know there's a dispute. And they can't help reconcile because their numbers, they can't come up with clear numbers. They just can't. So I think it would be very irresponsible from this city just to cut them a check for $18 million because they said so. I'm not in agreement with that. And we need to continue to work to level that off. But putting all that to the side, as long as we have to pay for a water plant, that's the water generated out of that plant is much more expensive than the water we pay from the county. And we have less users than the county does. That explains a lot of what the ding in our rate. But there isn't a path right now that I could get the county to say take the plant. Take it, it's yours, and absolve us of the debt to pay off that plant. And we could call it even, and we'll pay you the $18 million. There isn't a path there yet. And what I can't do is negotiate it through the media or on radio, but I can tell you there is constant conversations with them because I want to get to, I want to put this thing behind us. I truly do, but it's just, you've said it yourself. This is very complicated.
It is absolutely very complicated. This is not like a ribbon cutting or a street naming. This is like the real work that we get elected for. And obviously, some of us are towards the end of our term, so we just want to see some concrete results. Obviously, there's been a lot of talking, but what's the action? What are we going to do?
All right.
not cut a check for $18 million. That's what we're not
That's
gonna do.
fine, but at the end of the day, we all ran our promises. Are we gonna fulfill any of them, right? So obviously with this one, this is a very, we have some control, right? We do produce water. It's not like we're at the total behest of the county.
But you understand that the water that we produce
Absolutely.
is much more expensive.
Absolutely.
And that water plant was basically obligated to us as part of an annexation deal. And for the county now to come back years later and say, we don't need the water plant, that's a slap in the face to a lot of ratepayers, a lot of folks that, were told you need to have it. It's difficult to swallow.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Okay,
Do we have a motion?
Yeah, motion.
We have a motion.
can
by
I say
Councilman
something
Calvo.
before you vote?
Oh, yes, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't even see you
Thank
there.
you for the courtesy, gentlemen.
Must have been yeah.
Thank you
got
for
it.
the
Yeah.
courtesy. I come from a different
Yeah,
generation.
name and address, ma'am.
Okay, Millie Herrera, 4341 East States Lane. I'm gonna make it easier. Vote no. Here's why. How much is this gonna save me or the average person? $5? I don't know. Think about that. Take the money and hire someone for customer service to answer the phone. Hire an extra man to pick up trash. People need jobs. You're gonna save me $5, $10? I want the service. We just had flooding in the street this week and I'm still cleaning the front of my street. When I ran for city council, I gave Eric Johnson one of my 12 ideas how to fund the city. It doesn't mean that you're gonna limit the property taxes or anything, but it sort of helps a little bit. May help to buy a fire truck. It may help to keep the water. One of them is adopt a fire hydrant. I'm gonna give you my ideas because I don't have anything in my head, right, Mayor? But you used to enjoy it. Adopt a fire hydrant and get people, advertisers, to pay and put their emblem on the fire hydrants. And we're walking around the city, we're looking at Navarro and Macy's and, Pincho and Wendy's and McDonald's and all these people are pitching in. One, Kevin can correct me, but I think you can replace about 6 fire hydrants if they don't need totally replacement with $1,800. What's $2,000 for Macy's? They're going to be seeing this emblem all over the town. 2, you don't need to build the trash in a separate, so save all of that and put them both together and you get 6 mailings a year instead of 12. That will save you a ton. I did pre-sorting mail and we used to try to put it together, right? So you get one bill. You can still pay it separately. Just put the little extra coupon in there. Find an advertiser and enclose an advertisement inside with the mail, at least for the cost of the envelope, or have them advertise on the actual envelope. They'll print the envelopes for you with their ads and produce, and the printer will send you the envelopes, pre-sorted. Allow them to pay the envelope and the mail. That'll be even better. They don't have to pay for all of them. They could pay a couple, 50,000, another person. And depending on their zip code, you can get companies that are there. Hey, Publix is another one, whatever that may be. Maybe Armando Godina, Leon, right? Why not? So I have other ideas. I had them at home. I'm not going to give them all away. But they're there, Mayor. Come on, I gave you something. And I think that I would vote no. Use the money and hire somebody for customer service. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Herrera.
Actually, we did. We did hire people for customer service in the water department.
All righty, so we have a
Motion.
I think we had a motion by Calvo, and we had a second by the Vice President. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega, Ms. Garcia Robles.
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Item C.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending chapter 26 entitled Code of Ordinance, Code of Ethics, Article 3 entitled Lobbyist, Section 26-66 entitled Definitions of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hialeah, and in particular by amending certain defined terms therein, by amending Section 26-67 entitled Registration and Oath to provide for expanded registration requirements, by creating a new Section 26-68 to be entitled Fees, Exceptions, and Violations, establishing lobbyist fees as are specified herein, and by repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
This is the second reading. Do you have any public comments online?
No, sir.
Any in the chamber? Name and address, sir.
Good evening. My name is Frank De La Paz, 11000 Southwest 104th Street, Miami, Florida. I am not a lobbyist. By the way, Mr. Calvo, as far as I know, Mr. Vidal is still alive.
It was a joke, but nobody got it, I guess.
Okay. I mean, even though we disagree, he's still,
No, I like the guy, actually.
okay. With regard with this ordinance, I need clarification. I'm not a lobbyist. I will never be a lobbyist. And maybe this was designed if we were to name legislation in Hialeah that retire Mr. De La Paz Act, because I will not register as a lobbyist. I have seen the expansion of the meaning of lobbyist beyond what is most municipalities in Dade County and other local municipalities do. In over 45 years, I have never lobbied a member of the city council nor of the Planning and Zoning Board. But I have attempted to obtain the goodwill, and I do every day, of city personnel. Now, on the exceptions, I understand number 3. I understand number 1. I definitely don't understand exception number 2. So unless I qualify in what I do every day as an exempt in number 2, I'll be violating the law every time I come and discuss an item, whether it be a zoning inspector, a plan reviewer, anybody else. And I'm definitely not going to register because I don't think that is lobbying. To the court, I don't think that I'm lobbyist when I'm trying to figure out where to put a utility shed in Aunt Mary's backyard, and I have to interact with several people. The definition of lobbyist, it has been extended tremendously, and the exemption number 2 is not clear. I do other things throughout the United States, and those who know my phone number, my cellular number is from Michigan. So it is worrisome for me the way this is being expanded. Most other municipalities control lobbyists on their access to you all, to you, legislative bodies. And like I said, I have always respected Jennings more than many attorneys have ever on this city council for over 45 years. So I would like to know if anybody can clarify what the exemption number 2 is, because to me, it's not clear.
Okay, thank you. City Attorney?
Exemption number 2, which is not an uncommon or unique exemption, means that an employee of a principal, let's say that you work for a gas station owner, you work for a plumbing company, you work for anything of that nature, and you're here on an application, and you're here to explain the application to the council and to request what it is you want approved, and you haven't been hired, you're not run book. You have not been hired as a lobbyist for that, but it's simply incident to your job, and your job is not to lobby. Your job is, as I said, the gas station, with the plumbing company, with the contractor. So that is a person whose normal scope of employment does not include lobbying activities within the United States. That's what's meant.
Understood. Like the other day, you all met the owner of one of the principal of Murphy Oil. when he came all the way down here to guess, and the other gentleman for 7-Eleven. So number 2 would not apply to me either. So you're telling me that as a principal owner of a real estate agency and contracting business, that every time I come to this city to deal with a city personnel, whether I'm applying for the reoccupancy certificate where I have to convince the inspector of certain points, that I'll be lobbying when I'm doing my work that I'm licensing by the state to do, because you expanded the definition of lobbyist and you made it very broad, that I'm gonna have to either register or violate the law. And I really, sir, don't think that the way you all define lobbyists was the intent. Because I cannot, every time I'm gonna come in to do something, come in and register is a burden on my profession, which I have state licenses to practice. I don't care about attorneys. They can pick up their own fights. Even though I don't agree that attorneys per se, when they're practicing their trade, are necessarily lobbyists, unless they're doing what the state and county statute is, which is trying to convince you individually to do something. That's not my fight. That's not my problem. But for me to deal with any city personnel, come on, saying good morning to the guard downstairs, it will be lobbying, because she has my pass ready for me when I come into City Hall.
Okay.
So because she see me walking down the street.
All right, Frank, so you.
So,
All right,
you wanna
and
add one
then
more
again,
time?
to explain again, you know, and I just say, again, in all sincerity, this definition we have now is pretty much a standardized definition, because you're trying to get an action done by the city, city council, city administration, a city board. But again, you're not a lobbyist if you are, one, representing yourself, okay, your business, your ownership, you know, or you're coming here on behalf of a business that you work for, and you do not do lobbying as a day-to-day constant activity. So again, you're lobbyists, and I try to point it out by just naming someone who perhaps is a very well-known lobbyist. So a lobbyist is basically someone retained by a principal for compensation to persuade government to act.
Which I am.
All right. So
I am hired by principal to convince the city to either issue a building permit or get a fine taken care of, or a certificate of reoccupancy done, stuff that I do regularly within the scope of my construction or real estate agency. And by defining this type of definition that you're putting as lobbyists, which, by the way, sir, if you look at the county statute, doesn't include every personnel. If you look at other municipalities, most of the lobbyist definitions are in regards to dealing with elected officials or member of boards that make decisions, not with the personnel. And that we can go down and get copies of the 35 municipalities in the county. It's not as strict
so that
to
that
everything
is,
like this one.
right.
And
So-
that's only my objection, because I definitely not going to register. So chief, you
Right.
know what to do.
Right, right. Well, I'm not, you know, I'm not going to sit here and predict every fact specific case or whatever, but what I'm telling you is that the expansion just has to do, that's not just the mayor, the city council, but when you go to a board underneath who's making a recommendation, or a director underneath that is making a recommendation, so that's
But it goes on,
pretty
excuse
far-
me, sir, I'm sorry, I don't mean to go back and forth. It
Frank.
also goes to a plan reviewer that I have to go and argue with them.
All right,
It goes to every
Frank,
and
I gave
all
you-
city person.
Frank, I gave you a lot of time.
So-
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next. Name and address, sir.
Santana 5601, to echo what Frank was saying, I lobby as a nonprofit organization. Now I know that the city doesn't charge nonprofit organizations to have a license here. Now, how is that gonna regarding fees? Because even on here, you guys don't even talk about how much of the fees that you guys are gonna put for registered lobbyists, because I only lobby when, for instance, if someone hires me that there's a special project coming up and I'm lobbying against, because that's something that the city attorney forgot to mention, when you're lobbying for or you're lobbying against something or a special project or a special interest that comes before the council, which I've been hired for, you know how much I get paid? $1. $1 to do it. You know, because again, fighting development like Shoma Village way back in 2014 and other developments next to, I call him Smiley, I forgot his name, Henry. You know, when they try to put 14 buildings there on 12th Avenue, you know, and all this other stuff, it comes down that sometimes you just need to be a lobbyist. And then Doral made me register as a lobbyist to get a program that we're doing over there. So my question is also, Mayor, regarding this, are you guys going to include a fee when it's a registered lobbyist for a nonprofit organization? Because it kind of clashes with something that's already in place regarding how things are done here in licensing anyways. So these are things, you know.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, again, the lobbyist, if you look at the definition, it's someone who is paid or retained by a principal. So a lobbyist, just by definition, in every local jurisdiction, is someone that is paid. Frankly, the question of the nominal consideration, it's the first time I've ever heard it, the $1 thing, but you know, right, they pay him $1. So that's nominal consideration. The idea of a lobbyist, again, is Ron Book and others that are paid a remuneration of a substantial nature to influence government action.
Thank you, Attorney. Now, just to finish my 50 minutes, guys, listen. Frank has every right. I have every right to have access to government employees. You know, this clearly states that there's going to be some type of fee for doing this. You know, let's just vote no, because this is just ridiculous. I don't even, who put this? Oh, I'm sorry, administration. I'm sorry, Mayor. I'm not going to say it's, you know, something inappropriately, but you know, this is a waste of time really to be doing this. Maybe someone is coming here overusing your staff. I don't know. You know what I mean? I know I try not to do that, you know. I have my clashes with zoning, I have my clashes with public records, but you know, I try not to take them that much of their time at least. But guys, please let's vote no on this. This is ridiculous. I'm sorry about that, Mayor. Thank you.
Just
You know,
sorry.
Rafael, you know, historically, La Ciudad Hialeah has created habits that are not the norm anywhere else. If you go to any other city, you're asked to register. Okay. Now, in el caso de Juan, en el caso de Frankie's been coming to this city for about 55 years at least. Because back in the 80s, Frankie was here. And so I know it's a little different to them. You can still say hello to Magnolia when you come in before you get your badge. But if the intent to having a lobbyist registration and really a focus to make sure that we're transparent, because as much as everybody focuses on the relationship between lobbyist and elected official, trust me when I tell you, the most effective lobbyists I've seen, whether it's in Washington, D.C., whether it's in Tallahassee, or whether it was in County Hall, was precisely their interaction with staff. To be able to influence staff that ultimately makes recommendations to the elected body. You know, can we clean it up so that a person who's coming here genuinely asking questions doesn't have to get bogged down in all this registration? I don't think that's a problem. But the intent and the goal here is to create a transparency, a you know, arm's length relationship between person who's paid by others to come here and lobby on their behalf. Okay? As Rafael was saying, you're atypical and you know, Ron Book, and there's others just like him. I don't want to single out Ron Book. There's others just like him, but that's what they do for a living. They go to different municipalities, they go to county hall, they go to cities everywhere, they go to the state, and they represent other people for compensation. And I think that's the spirit and the intent of this. For Frankie to go and speak to somebody and argue that, you know, they don't agree with an interpretation, I think we give you latitude on that. But when you're trying to influence and in a way that a lobbyist does, counting votes, because that's what they ultimately do, we need to be very mindful of it, you know? And this is a practice that every city has. There's not a lobbyist out there that does this for a living that's gonna go to Doral or the city of Miami or the county and say, you know what, this is outrageous. You can't be doing this, you know? But aquí in Hialeah, yeah, we can't do it in Hialeah. And I don't think that's right, to be honest with you. Can we have some latitude and tweak things? I don't have a problem with that. But, you know, voting no is irresponsible, to be perfectly honest with you, okay? That's what voting no does.
And yeah, I just wanted to say, if I may, through the chair, the mayor is correct. The key is for compensation, and that's what you do for a living. But the statement was made that this is somehow new or different. Actually, this is simply a revision or an updating. Looking at the city code, some form of lobbying law has been in effect in the city code since 1960.
Thank you, sir. All right, what's the pleasure of the board?
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
I think we should push it to the next meeting just to clean it up a bit, you know, so we can really understand what we're voting on. Seems like a lot of stuff was thrown our way.
I think it's quite clear, and there's been discussion about everything.
Got it. Do we have a motion?
I guess you can vote then.
Motion.
We have a motion by the vice president. We have a second.
Second.
We have a second by Rodriguez. Call roll.
Ms. De La Vega,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
No.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
All right, item D.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance repealing in part Chapter 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hialeah entitled Administration, Article 3, entitled Boards, Commissions, and Committees, Division 7, entitled Charter School Oversight Committee, Section 2-750 entitled Established, Section 2-751 entitled Compensation and Term of Service, Section 2-752 entitled Meetings, Section 2-753 entitled Supervisory Responsibilities, Section 2-754 entitled Duties and Powers, and amending Division 7 entitled Charter School Oversight Committee to be entitled Transfer of Charter School to Academica Date LLC, and creating a new section under Division 7, Section 2-755 to be entitled Rights, Duties, and Obligations, establishing the transfer of operation and supervision of the city-sponsored charter school, the City of Hialeah Educational Academy to Academica Date LLC, and repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is the second reading. Do we have any public comments online?
No, sir.
All right, do we have any in the chamber? Name and address, sir, please.
Juan Santana, 5601. Mayor, just to ask a question regarding the charter school. Did we end up selling this? Or did you guys sell it? Was this the company that brought it? How much did they pay for it? Or we just transferring ownership for free? Or are they gonna be administrating the park with it? You know, like, I don't understand. Like, I saw this and I was like, again, I wasn't here, so.
In simple terms, we're out of the charter school business. The charter school will be paying us a fee per student. The charter school will also be paying for the use of our fields to be able to conduct their activities. And still up in the air, but I think we'll get to a landing, is the use of our facilities, where they've been running their classrooms up to this point. But in essence, this board will no longer, and the city will no longer be operating actively this charter school. They will be paying us rent for their operation.
Okay, that way you guys know, because I had a question regarding that. It was like, I was even telling a couple of actual charter schools that you guys might be willing to sell it. They were like, well, they're gonna sell the land. I said, I don't think they're gonna sell the land, they'll probably rent it to you. You know, I don't remember from the top of my head, but I think there's over 300 students there, 400. You know, you times that times, I remember because I did it with Salvation Army. You times that times $64,000 or $67,000 a year. That's a lot of money. So hopefully they are paying market rent. I don't know if you guys can see it in the back because I can't, right? How much they're paying in rent and stuff. Hopefully they are paying a good market rent. Regarding them using the other facilities, you know, at the end of the day, it's for the kids, you know. So I completely agree with you. We should never be in the school charting business. You know, I think this is all a political stunt. from prior administration trying to promote that we're gonna get more police officers from there and all of this other stuff. And I think Councilman Cabo asked for that record several times regarding charter school. And again, we never get a report reading how many firefighters we got out of there, how many police officers we got out of there. So I am happy to hear that we are getting out of the charter school business, but hopefully we are charging a fair market value of rent. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Have any council discussion?
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I was looking at the backups. I mean, I have to echo the sentiment that there's really no balance sheet here. I mean, is this, I have no indication whether this is for free, if this is, if we got paid. I mean, all I know is that we're not going to be here at 5 p.m. next time or whatever it is. That's all I have from these backups, at least. I don't know if there was a presentation last time that I missed or something, but is there more information?
Do we have any,
Is there anything additional as far as the backup is concerned?
but you, okay.
I think what the councilman is interested in is perhaps whatever the financial arrangements were, or whatever the.
Good evening, Elsa Jaramillo Velez. Last summer, it was transferred, this council approved for the transfer of Cohia. This is simply changing the ordinance, amending the city code to reflect that. You will get probably in the next month or two, the master agreement regarding the rent and outlining all the different provisions regarding the tenant landlord provisions.
Okay, so this is essentially perfunctory.
I'm sorry?
We'll look at the numbers next month. This is perfunctory.
This is exactly,
Okay.
this is just cleaning up language in our code.
Understood.
Thank you.
Thank you for the explanation. Motion.
I have a motion by Councilman Calvo. We have a
Second.
second. We have a second by the Vice President. Call the roll.
Ms. Garcia Robles?
Yes.
Ms. Perez? Mr. Rodriguez?
He's away.
He's away. Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Item E.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance waiving competitive bidding and approving a second amendment to the exclusive franchise agreement for the collection of residential recyclable material granted to World Waste Recycling Incorporated, a Florida corporation, the predecessor in interest to Coastal Waste and Recycling of Florida Incorporated, a Florida corporation, pursuant to Hialeah, Florida Ordinance Number 2018-042, adopted on May 22nd, 2018, extending the agreement for a term beginning upon execution of the Second Amendment to exclusive franchise agreement by the parties and ending on September 30th, 2025, providing for subsequent renewals of the agreement at the option of the parties for a term of 1 year at each renewal, with a cumulative duration of all subsequent renewals not exceeding a total of 5 years, amending the agreement to be consistent with current collection services and to establish new requirements, approving the Second Amendment in substantial conformity with Exhibit A, which is attached to and made a part hereof, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk as attesting witness on behalf of the city to execute the Second Amendment, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
This item is on, it is in second reading. Do we have any public comments online?
No, sir.
Do we have any in the chamber? Name and address, sir, please.
Juan Santana, 5601 West 10th Avenue. Mayor, regarding this, because I think this happened with the prior administration. When was it that Crystal Waste and Recycling Company came into effect? Because I think we were with Waste Pro the last time. And then I want to know, was there like an exchange that one company brought the other one? And then also, what is going to be the cost for this 1 year contract regarding the solid waste? Because again, I've expressed, the last time I talked to Kevin, I gave him, your office gave him my proposal regarding how to fix the recycling issue. And I know there's more endeavor to kind of like look into it a little more to actually save the residents money regarding garbage. Like you said before, when we had the constituent day meeting, that nobody's buying plastic, nobody's buying glass, nobody's, how much exactly is this costing this new contract? And, as, I don't know if like you were just saying earlier, you don't like paying a high water, you don't like paying a high garbage. Once again, the garbage just continues to go up and go up and go up. And in the future, are we going to have any plans to actually kind of, not to echo prior administration's name like Raul Martinez, that we had our own garbage company, so we were able to control the price of service? Because as we continue to stay with these private entities, the cost is going to continue to go up because inflation, the cost of doing business. That's just the way it is. We're in a capitalist society, but we need to start looking into some more R&D regarding this, Mayor. And I've given you some already. I'm not gonna echo Millie. I'm giving you something, but what was it called? At the end of the day, like I was telling you regarding plastic and stuff like that. I know it costs money to get all those machines and stuff. So, but I just want to know how much more are we expected to pay regarding the company? Because I know we're not gonna go like this. We're gonna go, hey, that's what that company's charging. And so are we looking at any also competitive bidding? Have we opened it up for it? Stuff like that. Because I told my wife and I told man, I said, hey, it's getting expensive out here, so I just got to make more money. That's all it is. Thank you, guys.
It's in my house.
Hey, Kevin, you have some words there for us?
Hi, Kevin Linsky, Public Works Director. I guess we're now on to waste for a second. So the good news is, and I'll go into this item, the mayor in this next budget, I think for the third successive year, no increase in the waste fee. And we'll do it during budget, right? But you compare what Hialeah pays to anybody else. I'm going to give a shout out to Armando Vidal. I hope he is not watching and he's doing something different than watching this.
From above.
No, I know he's out there. He negotiated a great deal for the city before he left, and we're living off of it, and we're going to live off of it for 5 more years. So you might have a whole lot of interest in this subject, but you're paying the right rate. What this particular item does is it helps us continue a recycling program. The recycling program died across almost all communities during the pandemic. 2 reasons. There was the pandemic itself, and then China got its act together and stopped importing fundamentally 2 projects, 2 of the items that are collected in recycling, which killed the market. So we were faced with a decision about 3 months ago, whether to continue the program that was temporarily in place, but we'd have to recycle the material at $140 a ton, 142, or stop the program. Keep in mind, to throw away material costs $68 a ton. To recycle it costs $142. So our partner, Coastal, really am very impressed. They stepped up and said, we want to keep this recycling going. We're going to match the rate that it costs you to throw it into a dump. At their own expense, they're hauling it to Wheelabrator, which is not particularly close, and they are charging the same rate as if we put it inside of a dump. And as part of their program where they create energy, we, the city, get credit for continuing a recycling program. Many cities have shut it down. We're continuing, no extra cost. So this is quite a good item.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kevin. Appreciate that.
There.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Kevin, I feel like I'm living deja vu. I remember this conversation.
That's a good thing.
I was just sitting in that chair last time, but we were like, the green bin, it's like, it's all a lie. We don't recycle anything. It just goes to the trash. Everybody that in my house, we used to sort out the cardboard and the stuff or whatever into the green bin. And after that conversation, I went home and I said, oh, forget it, right? This is just trash number 2.0. So obviously, because of what you were explaining, that the cost to recycle is so much higher than it is to just throw it away. So we just throw it away, but call it a recycling bin. And so what we talked about last time, the reason I say deja vu is we said, look, we're only going to do it for 1 more year, and then for sure next year, we'll just cut the program or we'll come up with a better arrangement. And here we are just renewing it, right? Just kicking the can down the road. Unfortunately, like it's like a politically thorny subject because you don't want to go and take the bin away from people. But we don't have a recycling program. We don't recycle. We just throw it away because it's cheaper. And we want to keep, we want to keep it flat. And so that's fine. But it just makes no sense. Like, why do we even have the program in the first place if we're not going to recycle?
So my memory's, I'm sorry. My memory's similar, but not identical to yours. You're exactly right on. I'm going to disagree on one thing. We said year by year, we would make a decision.
Right.
So I thought standing here this year, I was going to recommend to our mayor, cut the program.
Right.
Because I realized the costs were going to increase almost. The county's paying $142 a ton.
Right.
To recycle, and they're keeping it.
Recycling.
Their increase alone is about 30% of the entire fee that Hialeah pays. I mean, the county's going to extraordinary lengths. We actually are doing what's considered recycling under the state. So unlike at the beginning of the pandemic, when you could argue that we really weren't recycling, we were separating it, but did it end up in a dump? It's quite possible for a period of time, but that's not happening anymore. We're doing what under the state qualifies as recycling. So we saved the program, no additional charge. And I'm with you. I thought this year we were getting out of the recycling business.
What was the name of the, I guess he was the lobbyist, funny of Coastal last time. Do you remember that guy? That guy was like really energetic. And he was like, we're going to do AI every time we pick up the recycling. We're going to AI and we're going to have a camera and we're going to see how much of it is like actually recyclable material. And then we're going to come back with this data and it's all AI data and then we passed. And then, we come back and it's the same story.
Well, sorry, I don't want to argue, but it is a recycling program. It qualifies as recycling under state. It costs us no additional monies.
Yeah, I remember Councilwoman Perez and I were getting into it because I was saying, well, why don't we just add somebody to the truck and he'll get out of the truck and slap the tag on the bin so that people know like what to put in the bin, what not to put in the bin, because a lot of those stickers had faded away with time. And obviously adding to the problem is the county green is trash. And then, people come in and out of Hialeah. And so the color is just confusing. I don't know. I think, let's, whatever. I'm sure it's going to pass today or whatever, but we got to do something with this. We're just kicking problems down the road. Eventually they're going to catch up to us. And thank you for your patience and diligence on this.
So, thank you, Kevin. Appreciate you. Maybe Kevin, maybe we can have a mayor, maybe we could have some sort of workshop 6 months from now to discuss it. Right. I think that'd be beneficial. I mean, if anyone has any ideas now on the council to share, maybe we can discuss it now too.
Yeah, through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
So we did a recycling program with the very living Amaranto Vidal. And we created like a sticker that we put on the trash cans, and we worked with a recycling company that was through the water and sewer department as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we came up with like a slogan. So I don't know if that's something we can.
What was the slogan?
There was a few. So, some sticked.
All right. So let's Mayor Imari, maybe we could do like a workshop 6 months from now, see where we're at, and then we'll go from there. Okay.
And maybe we could call that company again.
Yeah. And we could come up with different slogans. Maybe I think that'll. Okay. All right. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion.
We have a motion by Council Member Perez, and we have a second by who?
Me.
By the Vice President. Call roll, please.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Tonidor.
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
No.
Ms. De La Vega,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
All right. Item F.
First reading of proposed ordinance amending the Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Chapter 78 entitled Solid Waste, amending Section 78-160 Applications for Non-Exclusive Franchises and Section 162 Waste Services Permit, providing for new insurance requirements and bonds and alternate security amounts, and creating a new subsection delineating an application process that includes mandatory administrative costs for a new or renewal application, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
All right, this item is in first reading, not open for public comments. Do we have any council discussion? What's the pleasure of the board? We have a motion by Councilmember Rodriguez.
Second.
We have a second by the Vice President. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for September 10th, 2024.
All right, moving on to unfinished business. Any unfinished business? Nothing. Okay, moving on to new business. Item A, please.
Report to the City Council financial disclosure submittals for the year ending in 2023 pursuant to Section 26-36 subsection D of the Hialeah Code. So included in the backup for this item is just a list as the code requires that the city clerk report to the council anyone who did not comply with financial disclosure submittals for the 2023.
All righty, perfect. Did anyone not comply with the submittal?
A ton of people.
Yes, so we have a list. There's one current employee, one former council member, a couple of,
Is there, council members?
yes,
Who?
Angelica Pacheco.
Okay, has not submitted their financial disclosure?
No, sir.
Okay, anyone else?
We have former employees who did serve in their position
Got
during the 2023 year, as well as former board members.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you so much. Any comments on that?
Yeah, just curiosity. I
Yes,
mean,
sir.
what do we really do? I mean, does the city take any affirmative action? Do we, these people get fined or it just kind of stays as is? I mean, because obviously a lot of these people are former employees. I mean, the current employee, I guess he's gonna get fired or something. Everybody else, I mean, I don't know, the guy's working here. What do we do? What do we do as a city?
City attorney, any thoughts on that, sir?
I am not aware of the city having ever brought any kind of enforcement action for failure to adhere, but if that's of interest to the council, we would look into it and report back to you. I think as to someone who is not of the body or not with the city, there would be limited enforcement. As to current employees, we'd have to investigate it if that's what the council wanted.
Okay, and the state might have their own, I'm assuming, procedure.
Right, this is the city code, so, you know, offhand, the penalties might just be, the standard default fine of up to $500 and what have you.
Right.
And, but this is the city reporting as opposed to the state reporting. You're correct, council member, the county and the state have separate reporting requirements with their penalties enforceable by those bodies. Yes, sir.
I think as far as the, when it says former employees, right? I mean,
Why do
not
they
much
have
you
to-
could do here.
Why do they have to, Mayor?
Because it's retroactive. Like, they
Probably
would have been
since they
employees.
separated themselves, they figure I don't have to do this anymore. I'm not involved and I'm sure they've been getting notices, but unless the state, there's a fine involved, it might get their attention.
No, that's it's disheartening in the sense that, oh yeah, I could get a bribe for $1 million and nobody will ever know. And my fine is $500. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, well,
It is disheartening. Whatever. It is what it is.
All right, do we have to take a vote on this?
No, sir. It's
No.
just a report.
All right, perfect. So if there's no other discussion on this item, any other new business? Any new
Yes,
bus-
through the chair.
Yes, sir.
So just want to bring to the attention to the council that we've been working with a nonprofit called Aiden's mom, I'm sorry. So she has a good story, she has a sad story, but she's doing something about it. And the main thing is her mission is to put some safety devices around the body of waters. Unfortunately, we have something going on at Amelia Earhart. And so just want to bring the council, we're having some conversations of a nonprofit organization, basically wherever there's a water body, a safety device. So just FYI, hopefully we bring some information, probably next council meeting, but just so you know what's coming. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other? No? All right. Calvo, anything else? No? Okay. All righty. Thank you. Thank you all so much. We're moving on to land use amendments. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Well, all those persons will be Will all those persons who will be testifying on an item, please stand and raise your right hand.
Las personas que quisieran prestar sus opiniones delante de esta junta, por favor, pónganse de pie y alcen la mano derecha.
While,
You
while
swear
you're,
or affirm
oh,
that the evidence you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God, if so say I do.
Usted jura o afirma que el testimonio que va a dar será la verdad, toda la verdad y únicamente la verdad y que Dios sea su testigo. Por favor, diga que sí, si la respuesta es afirmativa.
Let the record reflect that I have responded in the affirmative.
En el archivo público constará que todos han respondido afirmativamente.
All right, thank you, Melissa, for that translation. So let's move on to item A.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending the future land use map from low-density residential to major institutions. Property located at 375 East 17th Street, Hialeah, zoned R2, 1 and 2 Family Residential District, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
All right, this item's in second reading. Any public comments online?
No, sir.
No, none? Any in the chamber? No one's got nothing to say? Okay, all right. Mr. Messer, you're recognized.
Cesar Mestre, offices at 8105 Northwest 155th Street, Miami Lakes, Florida. This is the item that you had a full presentation last time. It's the Lincoln Marti School that's on East 4th Avenue and 17th Street. that
Yeah.
They bought, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They bought the house in 2007. It's been used part of the school. This is just the land use amendment requesting it to be changed from low density to major institutions so that we can unite the 4 parcels, do the unity of title, meet with staff to see what other items need to be done to legalize all of the properties together. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Sounds good. Do we have any other council discussion here?
Motion.
We have a motion by the Vice President Garcia Robles. We have a second by Councilmember Rodriguez. Please call the roll.
Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez. Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you.
All right, congratulations, Mr. Messer.
Sir, if I can just quickly record Councilmember Rodriguez's vote on administrative item 11D.
Absolutely.
Thank
Yeah?
you.
Okay, 11D, that was a good item. All right, so item B, please.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending the future land use map from low-density residential to commercial property located at southeast corner of West 72nd Street and West 12th Avenue, Hialeah, zoned R3, multiple family district, and legally described herein, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
All right, this item is on second reading. Do we have any public comments online?
No, sir.
No, do we have any in the chamber? We have one here, Mr. Santana, please name and address, sir, please.
No, Juan Santana, 5601 West 10th Avenue. Is there an actual like physical address? Is this the one that's next to the pawn shop? Or they have like a foot doctor place there, or is that the shopping center that has the foot doctor?
Yeah, this,
Oh, it's a gas station.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
No, no.
It was,
Oh, we-
yeah.
Oh, we need that there. Never mind.
It
Go
was
ahead.
a little sketchy at first. So, yeah, so this is right, this is north of the gas station, right? Is that,
the gas station.
that's what it is, yeah. You're gonna build a couple units there? Is that what it is? No? Okay, all right, just making sure. What is, the second reading, any other public comments in the chamber? None? What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion.
We have a motion by Councilmember Rodriguez and we have a second by the Vice President. Please call the roll.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez. Mr. Tumidor.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
All right, thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All righty. Item C, please.
First reading of proposed ordinance amending the future land use map from residential office to commercial properties located at 1420 West 68th Street and 1480 West 68th Street, residential office district, and legally described herein. Repeating all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
All right, this, give me a second here, Caesar, put it down. All right, so,
Oh, yeah,
okay,
it's another 500 now.
This is,
Yeah, we're open.
here we go. Okay, so this is on 68th Street, Caesar. This is on, first reading, so it's not open for public comments. You, care to give us, a couple of, comments here?
Yes, Caesar Magistrate Office is at 8105 Northwest 155th Street, Miami Lakes, Florida. We have a little presentation for you. Today is just step number one. We're asking for the land use change from residential office to commercial.
Hmm.
Next slide.
Are we seeing this? Where, is this,
There's something that came before you
yeah, this is a long time ago.
a long time ago where it approved it for expansion of the MBD,
Yeah.
7-story, 45
This was
units.
back in 96. What year was this, Caesar?
Back in 2017.
2017?
So now it's not the middle units, it's the two on the outside,
Got it.
1420 and 1480. In the middle is 1460, which is already made up of 3 different addresses. So what they're proposing now is, for today's purposes, the next slide. This will show you the red is the commercial land use designations. As you
Right.
can see, the 2 that we're asking for are residential office. That's why they're pink with the little stripes. We're asking for it to be red with the rest of it.
Got it.
What we're proposing, and obviously they'll come back to you later on if this land use is approved, is an 8-story, 75 units building with commercial on the bottom. We'll be building a health center on the bottom with Univida.
Good.
And there will be 20% affordable housing that will be provided here.
20%.
Yes,
Oh.
and 75 units.
Caesar, walk us through that, through the affordable housing units for a second. What AMI are we talking about there?
All I have is that it's at least 20% affordable units. That'll be more detailed to you when we come with the rezoning.
When you
and the
come back,
MBD.
okay, got it.
This is only the,
This isn't, this is first reading?
this is only land use first reading.
Got it, got it, got it, got it,
Correct.
got it. Make, do you think in second reading you'll have some more
I can
info for
have
us,
something.
please? Okay,
I have
got
a
it.
little bit more. for
Okay,
you.
got it, got it.
It's called Lago Bello Residences, and it seeks to provide the residents of Hialeah with 75 units of high quality, centrally located housing along a major transportation corridor. The beauty of this is that you're close to the Palmetto Expressway.
Yeah.
You're a quarter mile away from West 12th Avenue. There's a lot of commercial development in the area. There's also multifamily. Just seems like a right fit. Also, like I said before, there's going to be a Univida Medical Center on the first floor. We will have more details coming at the next part in this, which will be the rezoning, the expansion of the MBD. But I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding the land use.
Thank you, Caesar. Yeah, I know that property, all those properties have been vacant for a long time,
Yes.
couple of years, actually. Yeah, so, all right, go ahead. Do we have any council discussion there?
Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
isn't there a Univista there now? I thought the building is like one that you could park on the bottom and it has it on the top. And there's a dentist office next door.
There's a dentist office, correct?
Yeah, that's,
Um,
is that all coming down? And then
not
the
the dentist's
commissioner's
office,
office is
no.
there?
That's on the other side.
Right.
The commissioner officers will stay.
Mhm.
It's the middle, it's the 1420, 1460, and 1480 parcels that will be,
So what right now is in those parcels, Caesar? Just for the lack of,
I believe those 2 are empty.
the corner
1420
one
and
is
1480 are
vacant.
empty.
The
Yeah.
corner one is.
Yes, please, name and address, sir, please, for the record.
Good evening, Jose Cueto, 1028 West 67th Street,
Yes.
Hialeah, Florida. Through the chair, Councilwoman Perez, 1420 is actually where the Univista Insurance is currently located.
Okay,
The project seeks to build on the vacant parcels to the west, including the small residential office building that is at 1480 at the parcel furthest to the west. And
yeah,
so.
right now that's empty, right?
Correct. The 3 middle parcels, it's a total of 5, as Mr. Mestre mentioned. The 3 middle parcels are vacant. The 2 parcels on the ends, on the east side is Univista. On the
Mhm.
west side is the small residential office. So it looks almost like a home.
Right.
The project seeks, at the request of the zoning team, who's done a wonderful job, planning and zoning staff. It seeks to provide a common facade So that Univista property that's currently located at 1420 will seem like it's part of the project. There'll be a facade that makes it consistent and continuous with the remainder of the project to the west.
Okay. And how many units did you say?
75.
75. The 75 unit density is tied into the affordable housing. So we'll have the details for you. And staff from zoning will also have that. But it's been vetted and it's been worked with together with staff.
And how much commercials at the bottom? It's,
Just
what's the square footage?
7,000 square feet of commercial.
So that would be about how many businesses would we say? Is it divided by units?
Councilwoman, if only the service, we need a medical center, so the ground floor, what we hope to provide the community in that area is a healthcare center, a medical clinic, Univida, and wellness center that's also Univida. So essentially, an amenity for mostly elderly patients, 65 and over, obtaining health services, primary care, and at the wellness center.
Excuse me, sir.
Lunch.
So how's that gonna work if if people are living there and then there's people going there for medical services? What's the parking recommendation right now? What's without a variance?
There's sufficient parking being proposed, Councilwoman, and there's separate entrances to the commercial components on the ground floor and the residential components on the second, third, and fourth, fifth floors. And so there's a residential lobby being proposed and obviously a commercial entrance separate and apart.
Marbs, can you help me, please? Okay, wait, I think I got it. Is that right? All right.
Hey,
Okay.
Mr. Mestre, that property had NBD before in the past, right? I'm sorry, Ms. Perez, you ready?
Go ahead, go ahead, go
It
ahead.
was already zoned NBD. I remember being on the planning and zoning board and approving that.
Yes, the one that I told you came before you in 2017
Yes, sir.
was an expansion of the MBD.
Got it. That's what it was. Yeah. All right.
And it was for 45 units, 7 stories.
Got it.
But that was, I believe that was only 1460, 1450, and
Yeah, less
1440.
parcels. Right.
The ones that were in the middle.
Yeah, got it.
Now we're adding 2 more.
Yes, sir.
Through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
So just to understand, so the whole bottom part will be a health clinic, right? Or,
Correct.
and then the resident, did you say it's gonna be, I know 20% will be affordable, and then the other will be,
Market rate.
okay.
market.
And will it be mainly for the elderly? I think, did you say that in one of the comments or no?
No, on the bottom floor, it's a health center for the elderly.
Okay,
The top residences will be 20% affordable, the other will be market rate.
okay,
But we're gonna come back with, if this passes, more detailed plans regarding the parking, if there's any variance, the rezoning. But there's no proposal for variance right now. But tonight, it's only the land use, to make the land use consistent with the other ones that are already there, that were already approved for MBD.
Got
thank
it.
you.
Through the
Thank
chair.
you. Yes, sir.
Caesar, in the back, is this a body of water, the residents in the back, or is it neighborhood?
I'm sorry?
Can you?
The back.
I couldn't hear you.
I'm sorry, the back
What?
part of the.
It's the lake.
It's the.
It's on the lake. And in the renderings, you see a very extended wide sidewalk with umbrellas that are back there so that folks can walk back there and take in the views and relax back there.
I mean, oh, okay.
All righty. Any other questions?
A
Any
motion.
Comments, any concerns? You motion by the vice president. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Melinda de la Vega. Please call the roll.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
No.
Mr. Tumidor.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for September 10th, 2024.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Moving on to planning and zoning. Can we do what is this here? I don't understand.
Item 15A.
15A.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance rezoning property from R1 One Family District to P Parking. Property located at 112 East 14th Street, Hialeah, zoned R1 One Family District and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is in second reading. Do we have any public comments online?
No, sir.
Do we have any in the chamber? Sir, name and address?
5601 West 10th Avenue, Juan Santana. Very excited for this church. This is the church, right? Okay, good. So I'm very excited for the church that they're expanding their parking to make sure more people hear the word. That's super important these days. You know, hopefully we see a lot of great things come out of this church. I'm very excited for the pastor. And, you know, I know the last time we had a little hiccup regarding the last council meeting, you know, going back and forth. At the end of the day, we need to approve it. They ain't trying to build any inexpensive apartments. They're not trying to put more liquor stores. So we should approve this. Thank you.
Through the chair.
All right. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I was the one with the biggest gripe on this one. It's a little hard to find the backup, I will admit. But can you just give us a very quick, you know, what were the changes that you guys made to the application?
Basically,
Name and address.
Manny Rose Architect, office is at 18501 Pines Boulevard. Basically, when we were here 2, 3, 4 meetings ago, you requested the issue with some type of covenant, legal document, and it's all been prepared, run through the law department, and it's all ready to go. So that one point and at hand has been resolved, which was your main concern. 100%.
Yeah, I just can't find it, but I guess I'll take you at your word that it's somewhere.
Yes. And by the way, Mr. Tundidor,
yes, sir.
Glad that you had another member of the family come up.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Manny. Appreciate it.
Mr. Calvo, the declaration of restrictive covenants was submitted to us. It's not usually included in your backup, but it gets recorded after you vote on the item. So if you vote to affirm the item today, the declaration that they provided would be filed with the clerk of county courts this week. So they did include all the restrictions that were recommended by this body.
Okay, can you just remind us what those were? Because I obviously can't see the document.
Through the chair. So basically, one of the main issues was to convert this parking lot into a shared parking for units that they become affordable. So the owner had agreed into allowing that parking lot to become a shared parking. It was to also restrict it for the church goers only, and to improve the property with lighting and the proper landscaping.
All right, what I have here is the applicant will provide restrictive covenants, including that the parking will not be used for commercial purposes, which is one of the points that we brought up. Parking will not be rented. That's part of the commercial. It will only the only use will be for the church.
For the church goers, correct.
Right. And then a parking plan will be presented to Deborah Storage for her review and approval. That's the extent of the covenant. Is there anything else?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
So who's in charge here? Manny's the pastor? Who's is it?
They're the buyers and the owner is sitting over there.
Is the owner there? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Can you just come up here for a second?
He made some comments last time.
Yeah, I know he did. Yeah. So that's why I want to make sure he makes them again. No, you can sit right there. Yeah. No, please. You got to be sworn in to come up, you know. So Pastor, just a couple questions. I want to make sure that we're on the same page here because, you know, these declarations of restrictions, sometimes we do them today and a couple of years, people kind of forget, right? So I just want to make sure we get you on the record. So are you clear with the declaration of restrictions?
Yes.
Okay. And, you know, commercial parking, right, it has been a big deal. And, you know, these 18-wheelers and stuff like that, you know, parking all over the place. So we just want to make sure that that's something that you're gonna hold strong on with regards to the restriction, right? We're gonna limit you know, any type of a 18-wheeler, a trailer parking type of thing in this lot. Is that a fair statement?
100%.
Yeah, okay. And so, and I think part of what Claudia was saying, you know, we created an affordable housing task force, right? And so there's a lot of cool things that are gonna come before the city council. And one of the things that we've discussed is obviously parking, right? Parking is a big deal. And so, you know, we're trying to figure out how we can make it easier for the developer from a parking sense, right? To enable affordable housing, right? And so a big part of that is that shared parking. So you're also very clear on being able to utilize this piece of property for shared parking, specifically for affordable units.
As far as it doesn't conflict with church, you know, functions.
Yeah.
That we can arrange that on an individual basis with whoever will be leasing that from us. That is absolutely
And those hours of operations, are there listed somewhere that
yes.
the hours of operations of the church, and as far as shared parking, is that listed? Are we clear on that?
Correct. That will be listed on the declaration of restrictions.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Sounds good. Okay. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Any other comments?
No, motion.
All right. We have a motion by
may.
Councilman Calvo. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
I just wanted some clarity. So this church, how is it connected to the Three Flags Academy?
I just, Ms. Perez, one quick clarification. The DOR, when we were discussing the DOR, the zoning that is a residential zoning. So the commercial vehicles would not be allowed to be parked in that zone anyway.
Right.
So I just want to be clear because the attorney and I were discussing, there was no need to include that piece in the declaration because by code, it's not allowed anyway. If there were a commercial vehicle on the premises, it would be a code violation. That code can be sent out immediately. So it wouldn't be the owner wouldn't be allowed to allow a commercial vehicle to exist on the property. It's a violation of the code, and therefore it was omitted because there was no point in putting it in. So that's the only clarification I want to make.
Well, that's a little problematic because, yeah, it might be a code violation, you're right. And you can get with our ample number of code officers, you'll get a citation in 20 years. But the problem with the restrictive covenant, the way I understand it is we can go back later on if that covenant has been violated and revoke some of the concessions that we gave the property owner. If it's just simply a code violation, we don't have that power. Isn't there a distinction there?
Understood, but they would not be permitted anyway to allow commercial vehicles on the property.
Right. The difference is the penalty. The penalty under the code is just a fine. And under a declarative, a restriction of covenant, it's the ability for this council to go back years later and say, well, look, we told you you can't do this. You said you wouldn't do it and you still did it. So we're gonna, revoke, as we have with other people, revoke their rights.
You can do that, and I understand what you're saying. I mean, I think you can still accomplish what you're trying to accomplish through a code violation. You can always put a lien on the property if it doesn't get resolved. So you can do that through code as well. You can lien the property through code. I understand what you're saying about removing the granting of what you're doing tonight. But we just didn't contemplate that because we didn't think it was necessary.
Okay, no, because I just understood when I asked the question and I said, I don't have the document in front of me because you told me I can't see the document until after the voting.
Mhm.
But I asked, are these things in there? And you guys said yes.
They are, except for that one. That's the one that we discussed. And we didn't feel that it was necessary to put in there because it's already not permitted by code.
If I may, I think what Assistant Maguiso said is legally correct. A covenant violation is an additional remedy. So if it's important to the council, though what he said is correct, and it's accepted by the applicant, you can add a sentence that if the parking violation is committed or is undertaken, that the city can additionally take all appropriate action to rescind these approvals and just put that particularly in the covenant. Though again, what he said is correct.
Yeah, I just think it's simple, right? I mean, the meeting where we discussed this at length, we just said, the whole body said it. We were like, We just don't want to make sure commercial vehicles aren't parked there, 18-wheelers, RVs, whatever the hell it is. Let's just put it in the covenant. We kind of all agreed. Now I'm being told that it was taken out. But that we can find them with a code violation. So I'm just trying to understand like where the lack of translation happened.
Well, I think Alex explained it clearly that it's already a zoning violation. But again, if you want, just to, in brief, you can add, if the applicant accepts it, we can simply add a sentence that if parking violations, occur, that, the city can take all appropriate actions to rescind this approval.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we said last time, right?
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. If that is important for the council, we'll just following the council of, of our lawyers and the assistant city attorney. So if that's important, we'll absolutely put it in there. That's not a problem for us. It's not something that we're trying to do. That we're
Okay, so they're in agreement. So we'll add that sentence, and that should entirely clarify the matter.
Great, thank you.
Perfect.
Through the
Alright.
chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to clarify, has it been kind of defined already how many parking spots?
Oh, yes.
And then, if you can explain to me a little bit how the shared parking will work.
Well, the shared park. Go ahead.
Yes, I can explain the shared parking. So that is a program that is not in existence yet.
Okay.
Because that it will come along with affordable housing section of the code that we are working with. So the idea, the concept is that if you have a project that includes affordable housing, typically they require a reduced amount of parking spaces. So we understand that parking is necessary. So we will have this type of parking lots that they're using for, restricted amount of times, and they will become certified so they can alleviate the need for the parking for that affordable housing project.
Okay. And how many spots was it?
19 spaces, ma'am.
19, okay.
Yes.
So I guess eventually it'll be, I'm just throwing out numbers, right? 14 will be for the church and then, right, and again, just throwing out numbers, 'cause I don't know the percentages, and then there's another 5 that will be, with a sign that says
Yes.
residential. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that.
Okay, anyone else? What's the pleasure of the board?
We had a motion by Calvo.
Oh, yes, that's right. We had a motion by Councilmember Calvo. Do
Yeah,
we have
just, I'll amend that motion with the change that we
Okay,
discussed.
motion with the change, with the amendment. Do we have a second?
Yes.
You second?
Yes, I second.
We have a second by Councilwoman De La Vega. Madam Clerk, please call the word.
Ms. De La Vega,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez is away. Mr. Tumidor is away. Mr. Calvo.
Yes,
Motion carries. The item is approved.
congratulations.
Congratulations. Okay, moving on to B.
First reading of proposed ordinance rezoning property from R3 Multiple Family District to C3 Extended Liberal Commercial District, property located at the southeast corner of West 72nd Street and West 12th Avenue. Folio number 042025 0150140, Hialeah, zoned R3 Multiple Family District, and legally described herein, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on first reading. It's not open for public discussion, but is there anyone here for this item?
This was Boris, gas guy.
The applicant was here. He did the land use, but he left. But basically, this is the companion item for the land use that you just approved for the gas station, for that corner
Okay.
piece of the gas station.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. So pleasure of the board.
Motion.
We have a motion by Councilmember
Second.
Calvo. I'm sorry, who was the second? Oh, we have a second by Councilwoman Perez. Please call the roll.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Perez? Mr. Rodriguez is away. Mr. Tumidor is away. Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for September 10th, 2024.
Okay, moving on to item C.
First reading of proposed ordinance granting a variance permit to allow 238 parking spaces where 243 parking spaces are required and 10.03% pervious area where 18% is the minimum pervious area required. In contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-2189, subsection 3 and paragraph E of the City of Hialeah Landscape Manual dated December 13, 2022, entitled Tree and Lawn Requirements by Zoning Classification. Property is located at 1900 West 60th Street, Hialeah Zone C2 Liberal Retail Commercial District, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is on first reading. It's not open for public discussion.
There is no applicant either, so it's a no-show.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want
Motion
to
to
steer it.
Okay, so
For
we
the
have
next meeting.
we have a motion to table to the next meeting from
Second.
Councilmember Cabo. We have a second by Councilmember Perez. Please call the roll.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez is away. Mr. Tonidor is away. Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is tabled until September 10th, 2024.
Okay, item D.
First reading of proposed ordinance granting a variance permit to allow the expansion of a legal non-conforming use of an existing daycare. Conditional use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-181, to allow a K through third grade elementary school with a maximum capacity of 24 students in conjunction with a 24 children daycare. Property located at 6861 West 14th Court, Hialeah, Zone C1, Restricted Retail Commercial District, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item's on first reading. It's not open for the public. It is for us. Cesar?
Good evening, Cesar Mestre with offices at 8105 Northwest 155th Street, Miami Lakes, Florida. This is a daycare school that is requesting a variance and the conditional use permit. As you know, a lot of these schools started off as daycares and added educational grades as they went along. The city had an ordinance requiring a conditional use permit, but it really wasn't enforced until very recently. So we've been trying to get all of these daycare schools legalized. So this is one of those that's been around for quite a long time. The county records show that it's been a daycare since 1985. The owner tells me that she's had a school and she had a Dade County license since the late 80s, early 90s. And I know that it's true because I was a very young attorney at that time, and I did the closing when they purchased this school. So I have a history with this. Let me explain to you what is going on. The variance that we're asking for is according to the size of the classrooms and the students, we need 5 parking spaces. But I'll show you the property. It's right on 14th and 69th. It's that little peninsula that you see there at the end of the block.
Okay.
Next slide.
Should we go to the next slide there? Is it Melissa driving this thing? Yeah.
There you go. It's basically the only property that's zoned commercial, I guess, because of the daycare in the school. And it's got that 69th Street wiggly road that goes behind it.
Yeah.
When this first came before the Planning and Zoning Board, there was 0 parking spaces that they were asking for.
Yeah.
It was tabled. They told us, go back to the drawing board. I got involved at that point. And we met with the architect and we were able to remove part of the playground and have 2 parking spaces on property. Let's see if we can do the next, sorry. So where you see the circle on the left, that's in front of the property. There's going to be 2 parking spaces there, which are drawn there on the plans.
Okay.
And I met with Mr. Sanchez from the Streets Department.
Mm-hmm.
And the circle you see on the right side is he's told me that we will be able to put there at least 2 parking spaces on the swale area.
On
So
street,
two-
on street parking
On street, so
Yeah.
2 or 3 behind the school, 2
in the
in
front.
front of the school. So that gets us to 4, possibly 5, is
Right,
what we're presenting to you right now.
okay.
And at the end of our presentation, we have 5 letters from property owners down that street
Yeah.
that work during the day and have given us permission to park any of our staff people that we want on their property.
Yeah,
So based on that, we would respectfully ask you for a approval. You have a recommendation of approval from staff, and you have a recommendation of approval from the Planning and Zoning Board also.
all right, so the requirement is, just to be clear, the requirement's 5. You're giving us 2 for sure.
We're giving you at least 4
Well, 2 for sure on the property.
on the property.
Right,
correct.
and then 2 or 3 outside
Behind.
to
correct.
the on-street parking.
Yes.
Okay.
And
that-
that's
that-
basically legalizing the on-street parking, which everybody's using now. But it's going to be formal, properly permitted parking spaces for our school.
Motion.
Mr. Administrator, if I may, through the chair,
Yes, ma'am, of course.
how much staff did you say that they have?
It's going to be 5. 5 staff
five
and one,
employees?
yes, and 1 director.
How many students are at that school?
I'm sorry,
How many students are at that school?
24 for the school and 24 for the daycare. K through 3 education.
So 48 kids, so 5 staff for 48 kids.
That's correct.
How do they do the drop off and pickup there?
They've been doing it in the front, in the swale area. See where the swale goes all the way around it.
Mhm.
And basically, we're going to legitimize 2 or 3 of those parking spaces, but a lot of cars fit on that perimeter road. And that's what they've been doing for over 35 years.
What's the yellow? The yellow's the building
The yellow's gonna be the playground, the remaining playground.
on both sides.
On the back, on the north side of the property,
Uh-huh.
and on the southwest side of the property, those are playgrounds. What
So-
happened was there was playground where the left-hand circle is. There was
Oh,
playground there, and that's where they came before P and Z board, and the P and Z
Mm.
board said, we can't do this without any parking. We went back to the drawing board, we were able to remove part of that playground that's located on the west side of the building, get the 2 parking spaces, and still leave enough playground to be able to meet all of the Department of Children and Families regulations.
Okay. And through that playground area, would that door open? Is that where they would do the drop off and pick up? Because they have like a garage door, like a gated sliding glass.
It's
door.
either, I have one of the owners here, if she could come and answer,
Mm,
but I know they do it in the swell area there.
in the swale.
Hi, Tania Jurado, 14003 Southwest 9th Street. Okay, the yellow park have a gate for cars,
Okay.
okay? And the another that have a circle have another gate for cars. Okay? We don't use it at this time
Uh-huh.
because the parents park all around the school and they go inside the school and pick up or drop the kids, okay? During almost 30 years and no problem anytime. So now they are asking me about that situation that we have to destroy the playground almost and to contract a park. I don't know, I want to do that because we have to close the school during that works. But we're going to try our best.
So there's not like a dismissal time that the parents drive by and they pick up and drop off the kids. They have to park. So where are those parents parking during the
They
day?
park in the street.
Blocking the street?
And a lot of parents live around the school. We have a lot of.
But they
parents.
block the street or they park on?
No, in the swale, in the swale.
But aren't the employees parking on the swale?
Some of the employees doesn't have car because they are live very close to the school, and some of them don't drive because they came recently from Cuba.
Mhm.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, so do you have any other comments, Councilwoman?
No, I'm just seeing the backside, but I don't see that gate. I see like a person gate, like a blue gate by the playground, the new projected playground area. And then there's like a white gate, but I didn't know that that was part of the school. It looks like a white wooden gate
There's one,
by an aluminum roof back there,
yeah, I think that the wooden gate is the one on the east side of the building.
right?
Yes.
But that's where she's saying that that the parents park and come in through that.
No, I think that one's the one that's closed. The one that they use is the one
in
on the other side.
Okay.
We have the garbage there.
The
We make
garbage.
an enclosure and we
Mm.
put the garbage there.
Okay.
Through the chair,
Yes, ma'am.
may I? I'm sorry, but we found a discrepancy within the legal advertisement and the title of the ordinance. So what we're going to be hearing right now, it is the first reading for the CUP, but the parking variance will have to advertise it and draft the ordinance for first reading the next hearing.
Okay.
No variance tonight then.
Not variance for the parking.
Okay. So we're just doing the CUP.
Correct.
Correct.
Motion to approve?
Yeah, you know, because, I'm sorry, what was your name again? El nombre tuyo, ¿cuál era?
Daniel.
Dania.
Daniel Jurado.
Dania, you know, because I like to be clear, because I know the way that you said it was like if it was, like if the city was doing something wrong. So I just want to make sure we're clear, right? You know, I think, you had zero parking, right? And you've had zero parking for 30-something years, right? Which has obviously caused an inconvenience to everybody that lives around you, which whatever the case is, right? Okay. So the city comes back and says, we just need 5 parking spots, right? And so Caesar comes back and says, we're gonna give you 2. And then the other 3 are gonna be what the city already owns, right? So I just want to make sure you understand that, because you said it like if it just, you know, okay. You know, I don't have an issue with this, because I've always said that, you know, these schools should be standalone, right? And Caesar knows that, and that's fine. But, you know, it's just, you made it seem like if it was a big inconvenience for you, and I know you've been doing these things a certain way for a long time, but it wasn't the right way to do it. So we're trying to make it work, right? So today, we're gonna be taking up the CUP, right? We're gonna be taking up
That's correct. The
Okay.
variance has notice issues, so
All
it's simply excluded. It's not under consideration. Has to be renoticed.
Okay, and so parking, I guess we'll take up another time, and we'll figure out if that's sufficient.
Correct.
Okay, all right, so we have a motion by Councilman Calvo. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Vice President. Please call the roll.
Mr. Rodriguez is still away. Mr. Tumidor.
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega.
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved as amended, only the CUP.
Thank you.
Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for September 10th, 2024.
Perfect, all right. Item E.
Councilmember, we can record your vote, please, before on item 15A. It was voted on as amended to require the applicant to agree that if there's a code or zoning violation, the approval is rescinded.
Yes, absolutely.
And your vote on item 15B, please.
15B, yes.
Thank you. 15C was tabled, so no vote we need from you.
Perfect, thank you so much.
Okay, so 15E. First reading of proposed ordinance granting a variance permit to allow residential use only where mixed use is required, allow residential use on the ground floor where residential use is only allowed, above the ground floor. Allow 24 units with an area less than 850 square feet, where 850 square feet is the minimum required, and only 10% of the units may have an area of 600 square feet. Allow a site area of 17,861 square feet with a street frontage of 180.20 feet, where a minimum site area of 20,000 square feet and a minimum street frontage of 200 feet are required. Allow a front setback of 5 feet 1 inch fronting East Sixth Avenue, where 10 feet built to line are required. Allow surface parking facing East Sixth Avenue, where surface parking shall not be located at the front of the building. Allow 25 parking spaces where 54 parking spaces are required. And allow 22% pervious area where 30% pervious area is the minimum required. In contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, sections 98-1630.1, 98-1630.2, 98-1630-3 subsections C and D, 98-1630.8, 98-1630.3 subsection E1, 98-1630.3 subsection E4, 98-2189 subsection 16A, 98-2189 subsection 16B, and 98-2232 property located at 595 East 9th Street, Hialeah, Zone C2, Liberal Retail Commercial District, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
All right, this item's in first reading. It's not open for public comments. Do we have any council discussion with regards
Motion
to
to
this
approve.
to this property?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, do so we have a motion by Councilmember Calvo. We have a second by the Vice President. Please call the roll.
Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Ms. Perez. Mr. Rodriguez is away. Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for September 10th, 2024.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item F.
First reading of proposed ordinance granting a special use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, section 98-161, to allow the expansion of the neighborhood business district overlay, granting a variance permit to allow residential use only where mixed use is required, and allow residential use on the ground floor where residential use is only allowed above the ground floor. Allow 24 units with an area less than 850 square feet, where 850 square feet is a minimum required, and only 10% of the units may have an area of 600 square feet. Allow a site area of 17,148 square feet with a street frontage of 109.16 feet, where a minimum site area of 20,000 square feet and a minimum street frontage of 200 feet are required. Granting a variance to waive the building mass and building frontage development standards. Allow a front setback of 4 feet 8 inches fronting East 21st Street where 10 feet built to line are required. Allow a rear setback of 4 inches where 15 feet are required. Allow surface parking facing East 21st Street where surface parking shall not be located at the front of the building. Allow 31 parking spaces where 54 parking spaces are required. And allow 15.3% pervious area where 30% pervious area is required. In contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, sections 98-1630.1, 98-1630.2, 98-1630-3 subsection C and D, 98-1630.8, 98-1630.3 subsection E1, 98-1630.3 subsection E2, 98-1630.3 subsection E4, 98-2189 subsection 16A, and 98-2232. Property located at 701 East 21st Street, Hialeah, zoned R32, multiple family district, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
That was long. I think someone left a briefcase. Do we have a briefcase back there?
Alex has his still here, but.
That's yours
Yeah,
back
that's
there?
Alex's.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. All right, so this item's in first reading, no public comments. Do we have any council discussion?
Just curious what happened at P and Z, that they got a domino area out of you guys and everything?
No, we actually proposed that even
Oh,
before we
yeah?
got to P and Z. So we
Oh,
we
there's a
worked with
lot-
staff
a
for some
lot
of the
conditions here, a lot of
the
conditions.
amenities.
All righty.
Sounds good.
Uh,
And who doesn't like dominoes, right?
Motion to
Right.
approve.
Was the dominoes removed or no? I couldn't
No,
see it.
no.
Is it still, it's part of?
Yeah,
the-
there's an area for dominoes.
Okay, I don't know why is it scratched off here? Do you see that?
Print error.
Look, I mean, I don't know, maybe they're messing with my copy here. Entrance
No, yeah, it's probably just how I printed
and a
it.
dog
Oh, yeah,
walking
no,
area.
it's printed
Is
on
that
top of the
still,
line.
is that
Yeah.
still, yeah, is it still a
Yeah,
thing?
we're still
Okay.
providing.
All right, so we have a motion by Councilmembers,
Second.
Calvo, and we have a second by the Vice President. Please call the roll.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez is away. Mr. Tumidor.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for September tenth, 2024.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. All right, item G.
First reading of proposed ordinance approving a final plat of Verdad accepting all dedication of avenues, streets, roads, or other public ways, together with all existing and future planting of trees, shrubbery, and fire hydrants. Property located at 4300 West 12th Avenue, Hialeah, Florida, and legally described herein. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective
All right,
date.
this item's in first reading. Any council discussion?
Motion.
We have a motion by Calvo,
Second.
we have a second by Melinda De La Vega. Please call the roll.
Garcia Robes.
Garcia Robles, yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. De La Vega,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Perez. Mr. Rodriguez is away. Mr. Tumidor.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for September tenth, 2024.
Perfect. Item H, please.
First reading of proposed ordinance approving a final plat of Emerald Bay, accepting all dedication of avenues, streets, roads, and other public ways, together with all existing and future planting of trees, shrubbery, and fire hydrants. Property located at 4030 West 88th Street, Hialeah, Florida, and legally described in Exhibit A. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
This item's in first reading. Councilman Perez, any comments on this item? None? Okay. Any council discussion? De La Vega? None? Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Garcia Rose. You have a second by De La Vega or no?
Yes, I second.
We have a second by Councilwoman De La Vega. Please call the roll.
Ms. De La Vega,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez continues to be away. Mr. Tumidor.
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for September tenth, 2024.
Perfect. Do we have any final decisions, City
No,
Clerk?
sir.
Do we have any adjournment?
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
just very
sir.
briefly,
Yes.
I was asked before we forget
Yes, sir.
about the penalty for failing to file the city financial disclosure. There is no specific penalty, so it falls under the general penalty of the city code, which is up to $500 fine per violation. County court, or that's it.
Per day? Is it per day or just one time?
Per violation. So I would say that each failure to file
What?
would be a violation. You're
Send a
you're
couple
looking at
bills out.
hefty $500 there. And court costs maybe.
Got it. Thank you.
Alrighty, next council meeting is September tenth, 2024.